Good evening. It is 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 17th. I am calling
City Council. We will
today's
not have
City Council meeting.
While ICE continues to terrorize our community.
Thank you so much for being here tonight.
We are grateful that you have finally issued a notice of violation for ICE's conditional use facility.
Thank you so much for being here. As you saw, there's information that will be coming out.
Follow through and revoke the ICE permit.
I'm happy for us to have more conversation about this later, but unfortunately there's not a lot we can do right in this moment, and I'd like us to be able to start this meeting. We have people here for important business.
ICE out of Portland! ICE out of Portland! ICE out of Portland! ICE out of Portland! ICE out of Portland!
Over this? Roll over this so that we can continue our meeting.
That does not care about immigrants.
Let's try to take roll.
Yep.
Koyama Lane.
Our
Here.
indigenous community or your LGBTQ.
Novik. Clark.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Here.
Avalos.
Present.
Dunphy.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Ryan.
Thank
Gumi.
Here. I would love to have a conversation, but we're not able to do that when you're yelling over our meeting.
They're all over.
We have business to do, and there are conversations that we could have if you were able to sit down and wait until we got to a point where we could do that. We are not able to have a conversation about this when you are interrupting the meeting. There are things that we could talk about if you were able to be a part of our meeting.
Children just make sure to stay and wait until they get to.
Yeah, just a minute. So we do have a quorum, but we are going to have to recess the meeting if we're not able to continue our work. Are you interested in a conversation, or are you interested in yelling at council and not getting a response? We are not able to respond when you are yelling over our meeting. Okay.
Do you have a statement to read?
I do, but I'm not able to read
She
it.
has a statement to read. Do you want to hear it? She has a statement for you.
We are going to recess this meeting for 20 minutes. We are going to have to clear council chambers so that we are able to do our work when we come back. This conduct is disrupting the meeting. This is a warning that if there is continued disruption, we will have to eject people.
Can I say something?
We are recessing for 20 minutes. We are going to have to clear folks out of the room. For people who are here for our later work, including the children who are here to talk about safety in our city, I apologize. Please stay so that we can hear from you in 20 minutes.
question. Hello? Is this on?
Revoke the permits.
Ice out of Portland.
Ice out of Portland.
Ice out of permit.
Like it's on, but it's not working.
Permit.
Ice out of Portland.
Ice out of Portland.
Revoke the permit.
Revoke the permit.
Can you hear me? Okay. I have a question. I have a question for the audience.
Ice out of Portland.
Here, do you want to know where we're at in the permit process or no?
Ice out of Portland.
I'm hearing some yeses in the audience. Here's the thing. We can give you an update on where we're at in the permit process. We are not in the process. It is not at our table right now for us to do that. Thank you, Susan, for your assistance, but the problem is that the permit decision is not at City Council's table right now. If anyone is actually interested in hearing where we're at in the process, I am happy to meet you in the hall and talk to you and tell you where we're at and what we're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fucking wild, man.
Thank you all for that short break. I am reconvening tonight's council meeting. And could we please get the rules of order and decorum read? Thank you.
Welcome to the Portland City Council. To testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance on the council agenda at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. Information on engaging with council can be found on the council clerk's webpage. Individuals may testify for 3 minutes unless the presiding officer states otherwise. Your microphone will be muted when your time is over. The presiding officer preserves order. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to include your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If you cause a disruption, a warning will be given. Further disruption will result in ejection from the meeting. Anyone who fails to leave once ejected is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Your testimony should address the matter being considered. When testifying, state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. If you are a lobbyist, identify the organization you represent. Virtual testifiers should unmute themselves when the council clerk calls your name. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, the next item on the agenda is agenda approval. 2 items have been pulled off the consent agenda. One, the administration and the mayor asked to pull back, and one has been moved to the regular agenda. Otherwise, there have not been any requests to reorder or amend the agenda. Does anybody have?
Can you clarify which items were pulled, please?
Yes, I can do that. Let me scroll down here. The agenda item number 5, declare property located at Southeast 21st and Southeast Powell Boulevard, has been pulled off consent and is now on the regular agenda. There was an item previously on consent that I am not seeing here right now. Oh, that's not true. Agenda item 4 on the consent agenda has been pulled back to the mayor's office and will not be heard today. Other requests to amend, reorder, or add items to today's agenda? Seeing none, do I have unanimous consent to approve the agenda? Okay, I see no objections. Colleagues, the next item on the agenda is public communication. Keelan, could you please call up our first guest for public communication?
First up, we have Richard Elmeyer.
Good evening, Mr. Elmeyer, welcome.
My name is Richard Elmeyer. There is not enough money nor political will to provide permanent homeless public housing and preventative homeless funding and temporary homeless accommodations and clear and clean all illegal campsites for all the currently unhoused population of Portland. Recent federal and state actions will soon exacerbate the problem by guaranteeing an increase in the number of homeless. A majority of voters in Portland and statewide have repeatedly listed their top priority as removing illegal camping from public property. The moment the Portland City Council adopted their budget, it officially took on the burden, responsibility, and accountability for a policy that would resolve Portland's homeless crisis while satisfying public demands. These are the spending priorities to achieve public goals. Remove all persons and their property from illegally camping on public property and then clean those sites. Provide temporary housing of any type, including tents with platforms on sanctioned public property, along with all humanitarian necessities. Provide a detention facility. To date, all members of the council support allowing illegal camping on public property. This is in direct contravention of the will of the majority of Portland voters. And who will do the counting on December 1st, 2025 to determine if all illegal camping on public property has ended in Portland? The mayor's office, city councilor's office, police? To date, all members of the council have no idea what the makeup of the three classes of housing inventory are in their districts, nor how much they want to add in each category, nor what it will cost, nor how much of our public funds they are willing to spend to achieve their goals. So the question arises, which of the councilors up for re-election in November 3rd, 2026, that is Olivia Clark, Mitchell Green, Tiffany Kayama Lane, Angelita Murillo, Steve Novick, and Eric Zimmerman, will campaign on a platform of supporting illegal camping on public property and a platform of self-inflicted ignorance, incompetence, and fear with regard to their knowledge and decision credibility on housing matters. It's time for your constituents and contributors to know where you stand on these issues well before the ballots reach their mailboxes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Next up, we have Lucas Kerper. Lucas? Up there? Okay, great.
We'll wait for just a minute. And is the next person on the list online or in the room?
I believe Lucas is in the room.
I'm wondering if the next person down, if we want to, while we're giving Lucas time to come down, if we want to move to the next person.
Yeah, next up, Joshua Trotter. He's in the room, maybe.
Sorry, it's crowded in here. My name's Brian Storr, and I'm from Jackson County, Oregon, home of the most unlawful Genesis long-range.
Have Mr. Kerper coming up to speak right now. I'm sure that you have something very important to say, but Mr. Kerper does as well.
Talk about being auto-tracked and having the PSYOP campaign ran on me with use of the.
We'd love to hear from you at another time, but right now you're disrupting the meeting. This is a warning, and if you continue to disrupt the meeting, we will have to have you removed from the room.
Also been done to my 2-year-old son, my 2, 8, and 9-year-old daughters, as well as.
Have something important to say, but unfortunately, we need to give Mr. Kerper his time. Could our security team please help us to remove this gentleman so that we can hear from Mr. Kerper?
Field office in Portland, as well as Salem, Brookings, Medford, Ashland. I've also been assaulted by Genesis Elrads in Martinez, California at the hospital, and in Medford at the Rogue Valley Hospital. I've captured a lot of this.
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Kerper. We'd like to hear from you. Go right ahead.
here. Thank you for giving us a forum to speak, and thank you for making it easy for us to just sign up and do this. I think there's a right way of making a point or making a comment and a wrong way of doing it. But so I'm here today. I emailed you all about Portland non-idling futures ordinance recently, and basically it's a very simple ordinance that I think we as a city should have on the books. We should have had it on the books, maybe 30 years ago, but we should still have it on the books today. I mean, imagine, for example, like grade school where kids are playing at recess. They're trying to develop as small human beings, and there's a long queue of parents in their cars with the car on, just idling, waiting to pick their kids up. I just don't think this is a safe breathing environment for the parents in the car, for the children playing at recess or inside, or even for the neighbors living in the house. Idling the vehicle produces, obviously, as we all know, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, pollution, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and particulate matter as well. And, if you're sitting in a car and you have a really good air filter in your car, maybe you don't notice it that much. But, for a lot of us, especially in Portland, in an urban environment, especially as density increases, this is becoming more relevant. More people are choosing micro-mobility to walk places, to bike places. And so I think us curbing automobile idling is a smart thing, it's an ethical thing, and it's a safe thing for us to do. I do think it should be a no-brainer. So basically, we would model it off after something like the Vermont law. Idling your vehicle more than 5 minutes would be a ticketable offense. You could get 1 million of these and your insurance would never go up. You'd never go to jail because it's a non-moving violation, a class of parking violation ticket. Then there would be like temperature exemptions built into it just to make the law palatable so we could pass it. If it's hotter than 95 degrees outside, then you could idle your car all day long because you need the air conditioning on. Or if it's less than, 40 degrees, you could modify these numbers, obviously, again, to make it palatable for us to just get on the books. If it's colder than 45, you need the heater on or something like that. So, and then, of course, there's other exemptions, like, if you're waiting, to go through the drive-through or whatever. But I have never done this before. This is my first time here. And if any of you know how we can get this law on the books, this ordinance on the books, I would love to meet with you. I did speak with a gentleman over here a couple hours ago at the waterfront. I will send him an email, Mitch. Anyway, thank you for your time, giving us a platform to speak. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much. And this is a good way to get a conversation like this started, just in answer to your question. If there are counselors who are interested in working with you to bring this forward, they can now reach out and follow up. And we do have your information posted online as well. Thank you.
Next up, we have Joshua Trotter. Joshua Trotter. All right, we can go on to the next person and come back. Lauren Corder. Lauren Corder. Christopher Olson.
Welcome, Mr. Olson.
Hi, thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Well, hello, counselors. My name is Chris Olson, for the record. I live in District 2, and I'm a member of the Portland chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America and one of the leaders of the Housing Working Group. I was not planning to speak today, but I signed up for council communications back in January, and September, you got to jump on it when it happens. So it should come as no surprise that my topic for today is the housing crisis. And as a member of the Housing Working Group, I've been canvassing renters across the city and tabling at major events in support of our Renters Bill of Rights campaign. This year, we've talked to thousands of people and knocked over 2,000 doors and gotten over 1,000 signatures from everyday Portlanders endorsing the Renters Bill of Rights. So far, we've held 2 renters town halls, one in District 3 and another in District 2, where I've heard stories about the increasing cost of rent in the city, but not just that, but the failures of landlords to meet even basic requirements for human dignity. For example, I remember a story of a landlord who failed to make the required ADA changes to a disabled person's apartment. For them to use the restroom, the tenant must leave their wheelchair outside the bathroom and is forced to scoot themselves across the floor to use the toilet. This kind of inhumane negligence is unacceptable. There are many more stories where that came from, and as much as these stories break my heart, this is not the hardest part of the work. The hardest part of the work is getting people to believe that our city government can make a difference, that our city government in particular can work for them and not just the billionaires and the Portland business elite. Over the past 60 years, the neoliberal agenda has told American people that we cannot rely on the government for help, that we must put our trust in private corporations and the so-called free market to meet our needs. But the system has failed to provide enough housing for everyone. Case in point is this photo that I took. You can see displayed on the screen at Northeast 21st and Pacific. This is a brand new 7-story apartment building with dozens of empty units. And right across the street from it are 2 tents for our unsheltered neighbors to live in. This is the example of our broken housing system, and it must be remedied. No matter what caucus or group you find yourself in on this council, you were elected to serve the people of Portland. And that means pushing back against the landlords and the business class whose insatiable greed has created the crisis that we find ourselves in today. You need to take seriously the proposals of Councilors Avalos, Dunphy, and Green and what they learned about social housing from their recent work trip to Vienna. At the end of the day, it is up to all of you to solve this problem. And if you are unable to do so, we will elect individuals who will. To that end, I'd like to invite the council to our third Renters Town Hall this Saturday at PCC Southeast over in border districts 1 and 3 from 2 to 4 p.m. to hear from their constituents directly about the struggles they are facing. I know due to quorum rules, not all of you are able to attend, and I understand that, but I would at least ask that you send a representative in your stead. Thank you for your time, and I hope you join us.
Thank you very much for being here.
Council President, we can check to see if the other 2 are here and then.
Yes, please.
Joshua Trotter, Lauren Corder. Okay, that completes communications.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the folks who are here tonight to speak to us who signed up. Colleagues, the next item on the agenda is the committee referral list. We have a long list tonight. It is posted online. Adopt Public Street Plaza program was referred to Transportation and Infrastructure. Authorizing exception to Title 17 underground wiring was referred to Transportation and Infrastructure. I'm sorry, but we have times to speak to you about this.
When they have been violating the permit.
Statement I would love to make, but I'm not able to do so when you keep interrupting. Your conduct right now is disrupting our meeting. We have people who are here to do the business of the city tonight. This is a warning that if there is continued or further disruption, we will have to remove you from the meeting. I'm going to ask our security team to please remove the 2 individuals who are standing leading chants from the meeting so that we can continue doing the business of the city. Colleagues, I have a brief statement I'm going to read so that people who are here and are not disrupting our meeting have a sense of the conversation that is happening. Portland Permitting and Development has been investigating complaints that were made surrounding the ICE facility. A notice of violation will be sent tomorrow. I understand the urgency here. But I anticipate that this could result in a land use process that will come before council. And under Portland City Code, prior to rendering a decision, this council must refrain from ex parte communication or any communication that shows bias. Ex parte communication occurs when we engage in communication regarding a pending matter outside of the land use hearing, and bias is when we do so in a way that shows that we would be unable to make a fair and impartial decision based on the evidence before us. In order to protect our ability to participate in a potential future land use hearing, in order for members of this council to be a part of that process, we are not able to review all of the evidence right now. And we are not able to express opinions on this matter, because if we do so, we will not be able to participate in the important decisions that may come before us in the future. We understand the urgency, but there are limitations to what we can do today in order to be able to continue moving this process along over the next few months. I'm going to return now to reading our committee referral list. Amend transportation fee schedule for fiscal year 25-26 to reflect changes in the plaza use permit program referred to transportation and infrastructure. Establish a charge to fund city payment of flood safety benefit fee and the Urban Flood Safety and Water Quality District to the Finance Committee. Authorize the Bureau of Transportation to require temporary rights necessary for construction at Northeast 122nd and Beach Street to the Finance Committee. Require the city administrator to develop a plan to establish a storefront support program to arts and economy. Amend sidewalk vendors code to arts and economy. Reappoint Serena Studmeyer Wesley to the Prosper Portland Board to arts and economy. Amend city code to adopt State of Oregon building code changes to homelessness and housing committee. Reappointments to the River Community Advisory Committee to homelessness and housing. Research disparities in public contracting, workforce, and employment to the Labor and Workforce Development Committee. Approve the comprehensive plan map, zone map, and Title 33 amendments to climate resilience and land use. Direct the city administrator to approve the Portland Gresham Services IGA to climate resilience and land use. Adopt the Portland Urban Forest Plan to climate resilience and land use. Authorize Bureau of Transportation to acquire temporary rights for construction at Northeast Shaver between 102nd and 115th to finance. Initiate foreclosures, a number of initiate foreclosures to the Finance Committee. I am not going to read each address individually. They are posted online. Declare property located at Southeast 21st and Powell as surplus and authorize its disposal to finance. Colleagues, the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I will remind you that agenda item 4 has been sent back to the mayor, and agenda item 5 has been taken off consent and placed at the end of the agenda. I will note that under the rules that we have considered and adopted, agenda items are not started after 9 o'clock at night unless it is an emergency or a 9/12 agenda item. If we do not get to this item that has been placed at the end of the agenda, we will carry it over to tomorrow's recess meeting. Keelan, could you please take the roll on the consent agenda?
Elaine.
Aye.
Murillo.
Aye.
Novick.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Zimmerman.
Aye.
Avalos.
Aye.
Dunphy.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Canal.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Proto-Guinea.
Aye.
The consent agenda is approved with 12 yes votes.
Thank you. Colleagues, we're now moving on to the regular agenda. Keelan, could you please call the first item on the agenda?
Item number 7, reaffirm council commitment to the Vision Zero Action Plan and convene a cross-bureau Vision Zero task force.
Thank you. And we do have a committee staff summary from Claire. Claire, please go ahead.
Madam President, Council, for the record. Claire, analyst and staff to the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. The resolution before you, document number 2025-204, was heard in the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee on May 19th, where it was referred to Council with the recommendation it be adopted. The resolution directs the Deputy City Administrators of Public Works, Public Safety, and Community and Economic Development to convene by September 2025 a Vision Zero task force focused on identifying actions to meet the city's goals and eliminating traffic deaths. The task force is to be comprised of City Bureau program and technical staff, and its work must include collaboration with external public agencies and community-based subject matter experts where appropriate. The deputy city administrators identified in the resolution shall provide City Council with quarterly reports on the work of the task force and progress toward meeting Vision Zero action plan goals. The resolution directs the Bureau of Transportation, or PBOT, to update Vision Zero action plan goals as guided by the task force, and it also directs PBOT to develop and implement data-informed traffic safety infrastructure that is guided by PBOT's equity matrix. The full impact statement on this item includes information on community impacts and community involvement. 8 people testified during the committee meeting on May 19th. 2 people submitted written testimony on this item prior to committee action, and 12 people submitted written testimony prior to this council's agenda posting. The general themes of the testimony the committee heard included investment and political leadership needed to support PBOT in completing this work, prioritizing safe bike and transit infrastructure and safe routes to schools, traumatic experience and ongoing advocacy of families who have lost loved ones to traffic crashes, urging PBOT to focus current work on speed enforcement, traffic cameras, and road design, modeling the work after cities outside the US that have successfully reduced traffic deaths, dedicating state funding needed to support local investments, expanding water transit options, among other modes, and finally, ensuring the efforts of the proposed task force are implemented. And that concludes the committee staff summary. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Councillor Clark, you were the chair during this committee meeting. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Actually, I would just hand this over to Councillor Koyama Lane to provide the background and really express my appreciation for her leadership in getting us all on board.
Councillor Koyama Lane, your carrier report, please.
Thank you, Chair Clark. Thank you, Council President, colleagues, and community members. 10 years ago in 2015, our City Council pledged to make Portland a Vision Zero city. So tonight, as councilors, we have an opportunity to reaffirm that commitment. This resolution before us not only recommits us to eliminating traffic deaths and serious injuries, but also directs us to bring together leaders and staff across bureaus to act with both urgency and coordination. The goals of Vision Zero are simple, yet profound. Every Portlander deserves to make it home safely at the end of the day. Saving human lives is at the core of this work. Achieving these outcomes will take collaboration. I'm truly grateful to the collaborative co-sponsors of this resolution. From District 4, Councillor Clark has been so excited to join in on this work, and Vice Chair of the Transportation Committee from District 3, Councillor Murillo. And this resolution is actually co-sponsored by the entire Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. That includes Councillor Smith from District 1 and Councillor Green from District 4. And Councillor Canal from District 2 has also added his support as a co-sponsor, giving this piece of legislation support from councillors in all of our districts. I've learned a lot over the past months in this new job and also working on this legislation. And I can honestly say I've been grateful to everyone on this dais for the different conversations, support, questions, curiosity, from Councillor Novick being interested into looking into data around traffic cameras, from Councillor Ryan graciously taking time to discuss this topic with our new citywide Vision Zero lead and DCA for Public Works, to Council President for hopping on her bike, and joining bike buses in her district, to Councillor Dunphy's support around ensuring Vision Zero was prioritized in our most recent budget, and to Councillor Zimmerman's Mike Bennett traffic signs that I love to see every time I go by your office. I see those. The legislative and administrative branches have to come together to work on this. Vision Zero demands that we break down silos, prioritize high crash corridors, and protect the places where our loved ones walk, bike, drive, ride transit. This legislation is an example of what it looks like when the city works together across bureaus and service areas on a common goal. which I believe is really what our constituents want of us. You'll see clearly that there is widespread commitment to collaboration from all of our DCAs from Public Works, Community and Economic Development, Public Safety, and Operations. This resolution is more about transportation, more than transportation. It's about prevention and it's about people. It's about listening to our constituents who move through our streets every day and listening to those who have lost loved ones. So tonight, I hope you'll join me in voting yes, not just to reaffirm our commitment to Vision Zero, but to take that next step forward to increase collaboration between different service areas. I know that together we can ensure that Portland can be a leader in saving lives and preventing traffic deaths. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Colleagues, we have a lot of people signed up to testify, but are there any technical questions? We'll have our discussion after public testimony, but questions for the carrier, the chair, Claire, or technical pieces we need to find out from the Bureau before we hear from the public. Okay. Councillor Koyama-Lane.
I do have a question, and this is something that I have heard from other folks, is exactly how the different service areas plan to work together and what that would look like. If there is someone available to speak to that, I think that would be helpful going into public testimony.
And I believe Dana Dickman is the right person for that. If you want to come up and introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dana Dickman in the Public Works Service area. I'm the new Vision Zero policy manager, although I've worked with the city on Vision Zero for 9 years, so this is very close to my heart. This is somber work, but important work. I have spoken with all the DCAs. We've met together to talk about what this collaboration could look like. We're still in the early stages. But we already have a lot of examples of working across service areas. PBOT and police work together regularly. They talk sometimes almost daily, but have regular collaboration meetings talking about fatal crashes, talking about co-managing the speed and intersection cameras. We have a lot of opportunities like that to build and to lift up the work that's already happening, and to also find additional connections. Is there anything specific that you want to know other than we have support across the service areas and we are really looking into digging into it further over the next couple of months?
I think that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And I'll note when we come back for discussion later that I do believe we have all of the DCAs here if there are questions about the other service areas. Councillor.
Portland City Council,
We are about to move into public testimony. I would like us to be able to hear from your fellow Portlanders who are here to testify on the item before us. You are cutting into the time that your fellow Portlanders have taken out of their evening. Your conduct is disrupting this meeting. We have responded. This is a warning, and if there is continued disruption, we will have to have you leave our meeting this evening.
Sit down, but you need to know how much pain this is putting our people through. You guys can protect us. You guys can help us make the change.
Thank you. Thank you for making your comment and sitting down. Keelan, could you please call up our first panel of public testifiers on Vision Zero?
Yes, thank you. We have Kate Connolly, Joseph Perez, Zachary Lauritsen, Rob Galanakis, Eric Escada. Please come up to the testimony table when I call your name.
And we do have some folks coming down from upstairs, so if you are downstairs, feel free to go ahead and begin.
While you guys are getting seated, do you guys know that Indigenous women are getting beaten up outside the ICE building for protesting? I mean, to interrupt your time, but you're bike guys, I love bike guys. But, you know, honestly, you guys gotta know what we're doing out here. It's serious.
I know we know what you
Go right ahead.
Kate, is Kate here? No, Kate? Thank you. My name is Joseph Perez. I live in District 2. I'm speaking today on behalf of myself. Most people in Portland want to ride transit, and many people want to ride bicycles. 60.2% of Portlanders want to ride transit, and 45% want to ride bicycles. Just close your eyes for a moment and imagine what that would look like, how amazing it will be, how amazing Portland will be. And the data to support this statement that I just made can be found in the 2022 Portland Inside Survey delivered to the City Budget Director on July 1st, 2023, before many of you were sworn in earlier this year. Tonight, the Portland City Council will once again make official commitments to a Vision Zero goal for all road users, including drivers. Tonight's vote will help empower all city bureaus in Portland to identify actions to achieve zero road fatalities, as well as the stakeholders who will make this happen. After tonight, the mayor and the city council need to fully fund a Vision Zero program that deliberately chooses safety over speed and community over convenience. Portland has a capital improvement program, but it does not have a capital safety program. Portland has not assigned strategies, initiatives, targets, or timelines to any other city bureaus besides PBOT and the police. That will change tonight. The current mayor and council will begin their fiscal year 26 and 27 budget processes next month. Elections for council districts 3 and 4 are next year. It is time for the mayor and the city council to develop a budget across city bureaus that delivers safe infrastructure at high crash intersections and on high crash corridors. The Portland community needs safety programs and safety projects with a focus on equitable outcomes everywhere in the city. City employees and bureau directors are just some of the stakeholders in Vision Zero. The city has a lot of volunteers like myself who want to pitch in and help, so please engage with us. Portland City Council and the mayor must create a budget that builds safe sidewalks, safe transit stops, and safe bicycle infrastructure. We need more than just signs warning people of curves ahead, and more than just painting crosswalks where none existed before. We need safer systems. And as I said a few months ago, I think signs and paint are like thoughts and prayers. We need to build safer infrastructure. The city has the data and knows where the problems are, and now the mayor and city council need to budget for the programming and projects using this data. Portland City Council should make sure members of the community are present when safety projects are in early design stages. The Vision Zero Task Force should meet regularly with the community. And finally, the city and PBOT should commit to Vision Zero statistics. Please engage with your Bicycle Advisory Committee, your Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and other community advisory committees. I look forward to community reports, quarterly reports from the Deputy City Administrators on Vision Zero Task Force and Vision Zero Action Plan. My wish for all of you on the dais is to remember the time when people smoked in restaurants and did not wear seatbelts. And our government decided this was not safe, and they made changes for a better future. Now it is your turn to change the future to make Portland a safer city for all road users. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We still have 3 other people up here and many more panels. We have heard your concerns. I would like us to be able to hear from everybody who's here tonight. Is now causing a disruption. We have given a warning. If you are not able to sit down so that we can continue our meeting, I will ask our security team to remove you from chambers. Security team to please remove the person standing up and leading chants so that we can continue hearing from members of the public who are here to testify about our Vision Zero action plan. Thank you all for your patience. Please go right ahead.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Rob Galanakis. I'm a parent in District 3. My 2 kids are back there as well. They'll be going to sleep a little later than their normal bedtime tonight. Portland committed to Vision Zero 10 years ago, and since then, we've moved backwards. The most frustrating thing about this lack of progress, other than the fact that over 500 of our neighbors were killed in those 10 years, is that we know exactly how to end traffic violence. We know we need to reduce speeds because speed kills. Research is clear that street design, not education or enforcement, plays the primary role, but we continue to rebuild streets that prioritize speed. We know that nearly every road death involves someone deciding to drive, whether home from the bar or just to the store for kale. We need better transit and bike lanes so we have better options in how we get around. We also know that cities with fewer traffic deaths subsidize their drivers less than Portland does. We subsidize parking and attempt to preserve an impossibly large number of lane miles. Drivers need to start paying for the true cost of their trips, including the $6.5 billion represented by those 500+ lives stolen since we adopted Vision Zero. We know these things work because cities like Stockholm, Oslo, and Helsinki have largely eliminated traffic deaths in the last decade. So why don't we do the things we know will save lives? Why are too many Portlanders still dying in our streets? Because I hear you saying, Portland is not Scandinavia. So how about Barcelona, which has 1/15 of our traffic fatality rate? Well, Portland's not Barcelona. What about Hoboken, which hasn't had a traffic death in 7 years? Portland also isn't Hoboken. Apparently, when it comes to traffic violence, Portland can't be on par with Northern Europe, Northern Spain, not even Northern New Jersey. You're right, of course, because Portland isn't any of these places. Portland is just Portland. Portland, one of the first US cities to build light rail. Portland, the first US city to launch the modern streetcar. Portland, the first US city to invest in bike lanes. Portland, the first US city to replace a highway with a park. Portland, the first major US city to establish an urban growth boundary. Portland, the first US city to cancel a major freeway. When we say we can't do what other cities have done, we need to remember that for decades, Portland was the aspiration that so many other cities compared themselves to. Leaders across the country would tell their residents, well, we can't achieve that. Who are we, Portland? So I hope when casting your vote today, and when this task force weighs in with recommendations that include adding diverters, painting bus lanes, and removing parking, you will say, yes, I will make those hard decisions that save lives. Because Oslo is in Portland, Barcelona is in Portland, even Hoboken is in Portland. Because my Portland and your Portland is the Portland that leads, the Portland that others look to, the Portland that can and will end traffic violence and deliver the safe streets we all deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go right ahead.
Hello, my name is Kate Connolly, and I'm a survivor of traffic violence. In 2018, while riding my bike, a teenager driving almost 40 miles per hour assaulted me head-on. This is a model of my spine after my emergency spinal surgery I had during my ICU stay. 7 years later, I'm alive. I'm walking, but I manage chronic pain every day. The pain from my spinal reconstruction and permanent nerve damage still wakes me up at night. Despite this, I love biking. I never blamed my bike. I blamed dangerous policies, outdated design codes, and car manufacturers. The way we design our city doesn't just affect me, it affects the next 7 generations who will inherit the city that we build today. Today, Portland's transportation plans and new infrastructure projects rely on the conscientiousness of all drivers to keep pedestrians and cyclists safe. Alternative modes of transportation, that is, non-motor vehicle methods, are too often an afterthought. From poorly considered TSPs to 6-inch curbs with flaccid plastic wands on protected bike lanes. Ironically, I drive more now than ever. I drive because I can't trust drivers on the streets that we have today, and I often don't have the extra hours that our current public transit system requires. Often, I can't bring myself to submit my health and my life to the attention of people texting behind the wheel, rush drivers, angry drivers, drivers in trucks larger than my bedroom. They all terrify me, and usually there's nothing between me and them besides the hopeful wishes of paint and road signs. Before I get on my bike, I ask myself, are you ready to die today? On the days I take my bike instead of driving, I say yes. Yes, I am ready to die today. I will take that risk. And that is what it takes for me to ride my bike in the city of Portland. If you seriously consider the injuries and deaths of pedestrians and cyclists, it's not hard to see that traffic violence is a public health crisis. Counselors, it does not have to be this way. You can decide to prioritize walking and biking and public transit. You can make Portland's roads safer for everyone. You don't have to treat driving as an untouchable right. This resolution you're here to recommit to today is the ground zero for creating this new reality. And I urge you to find your courage now to do the right thing and protect the most vulnerable road users of Portland. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Eric Esqueda. I'm the president of the Mount Scott-Arleta Neighborhood Association in Southeast Portland, which is bound to the north by Foster Road. As a lot of people know, in 2018, it was redeveloped to have a road diet, increased pedestrian crossings, improved signalization, all that sort of stuff. And if a lot of people will remember, it was very controversial at the time. Foster having been a 4-lane road, many considered to be a major highway through Southeast Portland. Local residents were concerned that there would be inexorable gridlock and traffic, that it would be innavigable for the foreseeable future, and local businesses saw that decrease in traffic as a decrease in revenue for their businesses. Now, almost 10 years later, we came to find out that that didn't happen. The introduction of bike lanes, improved pedestrian crossings, among other things, has rejoined our neighborhoods from the north and south. My neighborhood, Mount Scott-Arleta, with Foster Powell. The addition of those bike lanes has created a new thoroughfare for alternate modes of transportation, for which I take every day. I biked here, I bike to work. 7 days a week, I find myself on Foster connecting to our neighborhood greenway system. So it's become a major lifeline through the neighborhood. And the businesses see as much traffic as they did before. In fact, a lot of the businesses through the heart of Foster have actually expanded, see more traffic, and that investment was a direct driver in that happening. Now, to say it's all positive is, for the most part accurate, but I think there's work to be done that can't necessarily be done through just basic roadway design. I live off 82nd Avenue and was fortunate that around my neighborhood at 82nd and Woodstock, there's a traffic camera installed. And since that was installed, we've noticed a lot less reckless driving through that intersection. I also live near Woodstock Boulevard, for which it had a reduced speed limit imposed and a couple of speed bumps put in. But unfortunately, there's an aspect of this that goes beyond design that will need to rely upon both enforcement and maintenance. Maintenance already falling under PBOT scope, but I guess the ask today to council as we get into this cross-bureau task force is effectively partnering with other city bureaus to enact that sort of collaboration between departments that'll allow improved safety through the entire city. I know no matter what you do to the paint on the road, to the enhanced pedestrian crossings, the Vision Zero data shows that 69% of fatal crashes involve impaired drivers. And no amount of protective roadways, no amount of paint is gonna sober up a driver. And as it goes for pedestrian deaths, we find that over half of pedestrian deaths in the city are among our unhoused population. And it doesn't matter what paint you put on the road, it doesn't matter what you do to the curb or how you redevelop the ADA accessibility ramps and the sidewalks. That doesn't get people out of harm's way through PBOT scope. So again, reiterating the ask to council today, as you consider this cross-bureau task force, to really fold in as many bureaus as you can, pulling upon the success of what I've seen in my neighborhood as from Foster Road and expanding that to, I would love if you could do Hollywood, that would be great. But again, taking those lessons and then leveraging that into relationships with other bureaus in the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here.
I missed the party. Should I wait for someone else to join me? Do you want to call some folks?
Go ahead.
You sure? Okay. Good evening. My name is Zachary Lauritsen. I work at Oregon Walks for a pedestrian advocacy organization. This morning I was at a World Day of Remembrance planning meeting. And if you've been there, many of you have, to that event, it's incredibly sobering and it's difficult to be there because we are remembering people who were killed on our streets. The people who put that on are Families for Safe Streets, and they are the real heroes in this because they have lost someone in their lives. And then they turn around and they dedicate time and energy so that other people don't have to. And that is incredible work. And we are here hopefully tonight to link arms with them and all together so that they're not alone, so that we do not have to continue to have World Day of Remembrance events. There's a now famous quote that Charlie Kirk said. He said something along the lines of, we have to have some gun deaths in order to protect the Second Amendment. And I've been in this job long enough that I'm afraid there's a lot of people who think we have to have some deaths on our streets to protect our transportation system. And we reject that framing. We don't think that you have to accept that. And so tonight, we're here to encourage you to say, we can have mobility and we can have safety at the same time. There are trade-offs, right? You can't drive 55 miles an hour on Powell or Sandy or 82nd or 122nd. It may mean removing some parking at intersections so people can see pedestrians. It may mean that we have to, like we heard earlier about Foster, doing some road diets. These are the trade-offs that we have to do, and those are the things that we believe are trade-offs worth making. If you're thinking, I'm for safe streets, this is a kumbaya moment, hooray, I would urge you to vote no. This is going to take political leadership. It's going to take political capital. It's going to take actual capital, real money. And so tonight, when you make your decision to vote, I hope you vote yes, but I hope you vote yes with the full understanding that it's going to take some energy. It's going to take some real effort from all of us, you all included, to make the changes that are necessary to eliminate traffic deaths on our streets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Keelan, could you please call up our next panel?
Next up, we have Glenn Fielding, Joe Rowe, Connor Lennon, Garrett Pryor, Alyssa Humus.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight. I think we may be waiting for some folks to come from upstairs, so go right ahead.
You want us to start?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Good evening, Madam President and councilors. My name is Glenn Fielding. I live in Forest Heights in District 4, and I'm a volunteer with AARP. Not very visible, but AARP asked me to be here tonight to convey its enthusiastic support for Vision Zero. For those of you who don't know much about AARP, it's a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization with more than 500,000 members in Oregon, including about 80,000 Portlanders. Its mission is to empower all of us to choose how we live as we age. I'm going to concentrate on just one reason why AARP stands fully behind Vision Zero. I have an expanded rationale and written testimony if you have time to look at that. But tonight, just one reason, and that is that Vision Zero promises to protect older adults. People age 65 and over are among the most vulnerable to traffic crashes. We're more likely to die or to sustain serious injuries when struck. Vision Zero promises to result in safer street design and safer streets. And I wanted to convey just a personal experience about the importance of increasing safety on our streets for pedestrians. About a year and a half ago, while I was walking on my regular walk in my neighborhood, I was hit by a car. I broke my neck and sustained other serious injuries. And I'm very grateful that I've had a good recovery. But it really brought home to me how vulnerable pedestrians are to reckless driving. And I think that is one reason why AARP is fully invested in the work of Vision Zero. I think I'll stop there and just say that AARP has worked with the city in the past. Okay, I'm done, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Please go right ahead.
Thank you, Council. For the record, my name is Connor Lennon. I'm a resident of District 4. I'm here today in support of reaffirming Vision Zero. I moved to Portland about 4 years ago in 2021, and 3 months after moving here, I experienced a car crash. I was a pedestrian on the road, and it took everything in my life that I had had up until that moment. Before that moment, I was a violinist of 13 years, and in the moment I was hit, everything I had ever known was taken from me in a way that I could not ever get back. And while I can say that I am lucky to be standing here today, sitting in front of you, talking to you, there are many days after this accident that I had wished I was not. I walked away from this lucky, but I had many, many months of recovery where I could not lift a can of soup. Nonetheless, pursue the passions that I had been pursuing since I was 4 years old. Vision Zero doesn't mean reducing our accidents. It doesn't mean reducing our deaths. We need zero to mean zero. This is gonna take some very hard decisions from each and every one of you up here, and it's gonna take some very hard decisions from all of us sitting here today as well. But we need to make those decisions, and we need to make them confidently. We need zero to mean zero. We need to stop removing our diverters. We need to stop getting rid of our pedestrian safe infrastructure, and we need to add more. I do not wish what happened to me on anybody else in this world, and we need to make sure that Portland is a leader in stopping our traffic accidents. So thank you for your time, and let's really make zero mean zero. Check.
Thank you. Please go right ahead.
Thanks. Good evening, councilors. My name is Alyssa Kumis. I'm a District 3 resident, parent of 2 PPS students, and a bike bus captain, among other things. Thank you to Vice President Koyama Lane and other council members who are reaffirming our commitment to Vision Zero and the opportunity to speak. I'm here to show my full support of all aspects of Vision Zero, but wanted to focus my testimony on neighborhood greenways. We are so fortunate to have this network of streets designed to prioritize people biking, walking, and rolling through our city. Greenways pass by our schools, parks, libraries, and business districts. They take us on a tour of the best of Portland. Unfortunately, they aren't living up to their full potential. And as is, they are giving bicyclists and pedestrians a perception of safety that is dangerously false. Almost 3 years ago, my preschooler was run over by an SUV while biking with my husband on a neighborhood greenway.
Sheesh.
A driver went to pass them, my child wobbled, hit the side of the car, and fell underneath. The car ran over his pelvis and ankle, resulting in multiple fractures, 5 days in the hospital, and a whole lot of suffering. Over time, he has healed. But I can't tell you how often I've replayed how tragically different our story could have gone if things had been only slightly different. And how heartbroken, enraged, and urgently motivated I feel when I hear a story when it ended in tragedy. Even though neighborhood greenways are promoted to bikers, they currently serve as convenient cut-through streets for cars trying to avoid stop signs and traffic. Speed bumps and signage do very little to stop people from driving on them, especially when Google Maps and other wayfinding apps are sending them there to shave off time. Street markings tell bicyclists they can take the lane to avoid car doors, but they don't prevent cars from passing too closely when they become impatient. In PBOT's 2020 Neighborhood Greenway Status Report, they highlighted this increase in car traffic and concluded that traffic diversion should be used proactively to protect neighborhood greenways from higher traffic volume. I have been both the biker and the driver, and I know that without physical barriers that guide cars off greenways, more tragedies will occur. It needs to be foolproof. We can't have this many cars using our greenways and still call them bike streets. As PBOT noted, most people won't bike with cars passing them frequently. They will choose to drive, leading to more cars on the road and more pollution. Everyone wins when more people walk or bike instead of drive. If we make these changes and bikes really are prioritized, not only will we protect those who already bike and walk, but we will see more people use them. The bike bus I lead to our neighborhood school will be 40 kids instead of 10. There should be a reasonable expectation that you could bike with your family on a greenway and not have to worry a car is going to run over your child. I hope our story can serve as a wake-up call for actual change that protects the most vulnerable users on our streets. We must provide the basic right of safety for all people as they move about our community. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today and sharing your stories.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll check for Joe Rowe, Garrett Pryor. Okay, our next panel includes Fisher Jemison, Jordan Lewis, Skylar Cruz, Alex Morel, Sid Morel. Go ahead.
Right ahead as we wait for others.
You go ahead while I pull up my
Okay. Hello, Council. My name is Jordan Lewis. I'm with Portland Democratic Socialists of America, and I'm here today in support of the Vision Zero resolution. Today I'm going to talk about 3 separate incidents that happened within a block of my apartment. A year ago, I was crossing Southwest Morrison around 19th with my partners when a few boys in a sedan swerved north, screamed a 6-letter word out the window, and flipped us off before speeding through a red light. A few months later, I was crossing Northwest 19th with my partner when we saw a car south of the intersection pointed the wrong way. The car sped through the intersection, almost hitting us, before heading north up 19th, which is the wrong way. Last month, after a Thorns match, I was crossing Burnside with a family of 5 who had clearly just gotten out of a game. And during the signal, a huge lifted truck lurched right from 19th into the crosswalk before flipping us off and doing a burnout west down Burnside. So speed was a factor in all these incidents. Easy wide turns were a factor in 2 of them. So these near misses are exactly what Vision Zero tries to prevent if it's taken seriously. We can't talk about Vision Zero without talking about the Northwest diverter situation too. Portlanders spent years getting those installed only to see them almost removed with little to no public outreach or process. And I do recall Councilors Zimmerman and Clark speaking out in favor of the removal. I hope supporting the removal, I hope this removal would have been followed by commensurate improvements in bike safety somewhere else in the city. Recently, I attended one of the Portland Solutions PMO meetings because I consider whether or not I get hit by a car to be a matter of public safety and livability. It literally affects my ability to live. When someone brought up the removal of a traffic diverter on Northwest 20th, they were told this meeting is about public safety, not that bike stuff. We can have a conversation about that bike stuff later. When I brought up the right turn incident I described on Burnside, my concern was similarly shrugged off. I'm tired of this idea that not getting hit by a car is some fringe special issue. It's not. Vision Zero can't be a ratchet where forward progress is impossibly frictional and backsliding is just effortless. It's not enough to make another performative gesture like we did 10 years ago. Please back up your words with action. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, councilors. For the record, my name is Fisher Jemison, also a member of the Portland Democratic Socialists. I'm testifying today in support of the Vision Zero Task Force, and to explain why, I'd like to talk about the Outer Division Safety Project Evaluation Report, a document published by PBOT that I'm sure everyone here has read. Between 2021 and 2023, the city rebuilt a couple miles of roads on the Outer Southeast Division to improve safety and create infrastructure for the FX2 bus rapid transit line. The benefits of the project are significant. Crash rates dropped, and Southeast Division bucked the trend of increasing traffic deaths on Portland streets. But reading PBOT's report on the project, I have some concerns. The initial version that the city released before crash data was available included the sentence, quote, "Reducing vehicle speeds was not a specific goal of the Outer Division Safety Project," end quote. If you're familiar with the city's Vision Zero commitments, this should be surprising. Safe speeds is the most foundational principle of our Vision Zero plan, and it's also the foundational principle of Vision Zero programs worldwide. Last month, when the report was updated after ODOT released crash data for 2023, we saw the result that deaths and serious accidents only slightly increased after the project was completed. Against the background of Portland's huge spike in traffic deaths during COVID, that's absolutely a positive result. But the way the report discusses safety sounds less like a Vision Zero approach and more like traditional US traffic engineering, where human lives are merely one outcome to be weighed against other priorities, like maximizing traffic flow. I'm left with a lot of questions that aren't answered in the report about how this project was planned and how we'll adjust our approach in upcoming projects based on what we learned from Southeast Division. And digging into the details here has left me concerned about if we're following our own stated values on Vision Zero at all when we're designing streets. And if we aren't implementing Vision Zero in projects like Outer Division with large budgets where we have a free rein to change street design, clearly we don't just have a problem with lack of resources. So to me, that's what this resolution is about. Vision Zero doesn't happen just because we proclaim it as a value of the city. And leaving our Vision Zero program on autopilot for the last 4 years has been a failure. But in restoring this task force, we also need to do better than the old task force. We need more accountability around Vision Zero, and we need the City Council to give PBOT the political backing to be bolder in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go right ahead.
Hello, City Council. My name is Skylar Cruz. I'm a pedestrian, transit user, and cyclist in downtown Portland. I have rewritten my testimony multiple times today, and as I struggle to put my thoughts into words, one thing remains clear to me. Political violence should not be tolerated. Now that's a hot button issue right now, political violence. I think that phrase needs some investigation. Most political violence is quiet, practically invisible. When it comes to Vision Zero, not committing and not creating a task force is a form of political violence that you will be imposing on the citizens of Portland. The decisions you make, peaceful decisions, have lasting impact. I imagine everybody here either has been or knows somebody who has been harmed or killed from a vehicle, whether that be behind the wheel, on foot, on a bike, or any other mode of transport. Every time it happens to my friends, family, and colleagues, it's truly heartbreaking. We can stop this cycle of needless death on our streets. If the city is to commit to Vision Zero, I want to see that commitment. No more rubber stamps. No more yanking the football out from under us after just a few years. Please reaffirm your commitment and reaffirm it strongly. Lastly, I want to thank each and every person who showed up today. Everybody here is fighting political violence, and with that in mind, I want to extend solidarity. I urge City Council to do their best to fight all forms of political violence. I hope that subtext comes through clear. If we don't fight political violence now, I worry that worse political violence becomes inevitable, and that scares me. Abolish ICE, free Palestine. Thank you.
Hi, City Council. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Alex Morell, live in District 3. I'm a Portland native. I own a restaurant, Stickers Asian Cafe, for the last 27 years. My wife runs it now with our family. I'm executive director of Dream Big City. It's a community-driven nonprofit. I love Portland because it's full of creative people, creative government, creative bureaus in the whole city. Dream Big City brings people together through creativity, music, skating, basketball, and community engagement. We've done over 150 events all over Portland, all the way from Zoomies at Pioneer Square to big block parties, Portland Hip Hop Week, where we bring 1,100 people. Everything is free. People are discriminated by dollars all week long, and so everything is free. We believe in really just engaging the community where the community runs our nonprofit. This summer has been pretty amazing working with PBOT and getting our streets safer. We're in 2 pilot projects with PBOT. One is with Play Streets, where we close 2 streets every week on 9th and Taylor. And we do what's called Fam Jam, skating, basketball, music, art, free food for all. We have anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people every week. And then we also were given a street plaza. And I really didn't want to do a street plaza. I wanted to do an outdoor community center built by the community for the community. So we put in skateboard ramps, 126-foot skateboard mural, basketball hoops, and before there was drug dealers, guns, machetes, bulletproof vest, a guy named Powder, and I went and talked to him, and I'm all, bro, you gotta go. We're bringing kids in here. He moved to a different block. We brought love to the street. There's a street closed sign at Portland Dream Plaza, but the community member who comes there daily said, you didn't close the street, you opened the street. So it was really powerful. PBOT has been so amazing with PBOT Play Streets, the Street Plaza program, also with support from Central Eastside Industrial Council. We have over 300 people visit the street daily, Portland Dream Plaza. It's barricaded off, it's safe. It's just, we have picnic benches. I'm a father of two. My kids go to school in Portland. I believe Vision Zero is so important. Even if we save one life, it's worth voting yes. And so deaths are preventable. We need real action. Our vision in Portland is to be safe, vibrant, creative, and inclusive spaces where kids, families, and businesses thrive. I urge you, City Council, to expand and protect people-centered spaces. Let's save lives together.
Thank you very much.
And this is my kid, Sid.
Hi, City Council. I'm Sid, I'm 11, and I'm born and raised in Portland, and I love skating, basketball, art, and piano. I'm lucky and grateful Portland has safe places for me and my friends to be creative. This summer, we opened Portland Dream Plaza at Southeast 9th and Taylor, a safe, alcohol, drug-free space built by the community for the community. Before, this block wasn't really safe. It had drugs, alcohol, tents, and even a drug dealer on the next block. But now, people visit like every day with skateboarding, basketball hoops, and all that. I go to Northwest Academy and I'm crossing streets a lot, so I'm crossing like about 5 blocks every day. So, a lot of traffic. I want kids to get to school, parks, and friends. I want kids to get to school, parks, and friends safely. Traffic deaths can be prevented, but we need some more action. I also love seeing Vision Zero signs and safety measures near my old school, Sunnyside Environmental School. I hope Portland can have more fun, creative, and safe spaces like this for kids and families. Thanks for listening. Peace. Thank you. Thanks, City Council.
Thank you all for being here, and Sid especially, thank you for taking the time to come downtown tonight. We appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you.
I personally witnessed his skating. He's pretty good. Much better than Councilor Green.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Garrett Pryor has joined us online.
Thank you for being here. Go right ahead.
Yeah, and well, what a tough act to follow there. My name is Garrett Pryor, he, him pronouns. I'm the Senior Policy Advisor on Infrastructure and Workforce for Chair Vega Peterson. And I'm here tonight on behalf of Multnomah County Chair Vega Peterson to express our support for this resolution. We applaud the city's continued work to enact a Vision Zero strategy that best coordinates and identifies actions to achieve the vision of no transportation-related deaths. Vision Zero's work has long been championed by the chair. She's been in front and center as an advocate for safety measures that save lives since stepping into political office. We have multiple county departments, health, transportation, homeless services, and the sheriff's office working on this issue. We're always looking for new opportunities to team with other governments and community partners to better support our neighborhoods, and larger community. In the near future, we'll have 2 reports coming forward: our racial and ethnic approaches to community health, our REACH traffic safety report, and Urban East Multnomah County Transportation Safety Action Plan. We look forward to seeing how this information from these efforts can contribute to the conversation and the broader work the city is undertaking. Finally, Chair Vega Peterson has prioritized her work as an elected official, increasing funding and political awareness for transportation safety, because this work is about supporting people in our neighborhoods, making our streets and neighborhoods safer for everyone, but especially those living in high crash corridors who are often overlooked. The county appreciates our shared focus and look forward to next steps. Please feel free to reach out to me as needs or partnership opportunities arise. Thank you so much, Council, for this, the work you're doing here tonight.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us.
Our next panel includes Michelle Dewberry, Mark Sherman, Michaud Johnson, Ernie Munch, Vicki Payne.
Good evening, councilors.
My name is Michelle Dewberry, and I reside in Zone 2. I'm the board chair of the Portland chapter of Families for Safe Streets, but I am speaking for myself tonight. I am the mom of Seamus Dewberry, a 1-year-old boy who was killed by a careless driver while being pushed in a stroller by his dad through a marked crosswalk in North Portland. In 2010, Seamus was one of 26 people to be killed on Portland streets. 2010 is the year a long-time downward trend in traffic fatalities began to reverse. Last year, 58 people were killed in traffic violence in Portland. This trend is reflected nationwide, but even so, Portland is an outlier. Seattle, a city with 100,000 more people than Portland, had 20 fewer traffic deaths in 2023. I didn't know this at the time, but the road where Seamus was killed is very typical of the type of street where pedestrians are most likely to die. North Lombard is a multi-lane state highway that cuts through a residential neighborhood. On the corner where he was killed, there's a school, a grocery store, light rail stations, and 2 busy bus stops. But there is no physical infrastructure to slow cars or protect pedestrians. On paper, Portland has committed to prioritizing pedestrian safety above all other modes, and PBOT policies clearly direct leaders to prioritize walking, biking, and transit over driving. Portland committed to Vision Zero 10 years ago, but our budgets and our actions have never aligned with the goal of 0 traffic deaths. I am heartened by this resolution because I know that it is in response to calls from the community for a renewed commitment to Vision Zero. But I want to qualify my support. I'm going to share a quote from Stephen Fulop, who's the mayor of Jersey City, New Jersey, which actually achieved 0 traffic deaths in 2022. He said, "If you just do a resolution and say, we are supporting Vision Zero, you should expect no results from that. But if you are committed to it, you will save lives." Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. Please go right ahead.
Good evening or good afternoon. My name is Mishad Johnson. I am the Agriculture and Skate Director for an organization called Dream Big, City PDX, with Sid and Alex. We pretty much like stabilized a community that was definitely full of a lot of just unsafe situations. And by coming together with the City of Portland, PBOT, we were able to conduct a closure on some streets and kind of like build it out into a more safer environment. You know, it's I feel like it's a good stepping stone to Vision Zero due to just kind of as my buddy Alex said, we closed the streets to kind of open the streets up a little more. I'm born and raised in Portland, and I've been a bike commuter my whole life out here. And I've seen a lot of the downfalls of drinking and driving, and just the way that like people getting hit by cars on their bikes, whether it be biking home from work, or even just crossing streets by feet. And so I guess I'd want to say that like Vision Zero is very important to vote for, to kind of like just stabilize safety in our community. It's kind of been a big vision of Dream Big to kind of like block down the streets, or we do an event called Fam Jam. I help curate that, and we kind of shut down the streets and bring in, skate, art, basketball, community, and just to kind of give, make it feel like a safe place for a lot of Portland and just a lot of the community. And so, yeah, with that being said, Vision Zero should live on, and yeah, too much more to say.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate hearing about that work.
For sure.
Go ahead, Vicki.
Hello, my name is Vicki Payne. I want to thank you all for your recommitment to Vision Zero tonight. While I've missed some of the conversations you've all had in committees and whatnot, what little documentation I have seen seems to be missing some key pieces to be successful in this recommitment, but I apologize if I'm speaking incorrectly about anything. The biggest thing I don't think I've heard anyone talk about is the law enforcement component. You cannot change driver behaviors with infrastructure alone, which is often confusing to all modes of transportation users and therefore unsafe. I myself walk, cycle, sometimes risk using transit again, and drive, and I find some of these new parking setups or intricate bike lanes confusing as both a cyclist and a driver, so that's not safe to me. The Safe Systems approach has 5 pillars: safe roads, safe speeds, safe vehicles, safe users, and post-crash care. PBOT seems to only be focusing on the infrastructure piece of this European model and somehow expected it to just work without the other 4 pillars. Studies have shown that lowering speed limits alone does not change driver behavior. I think most of us have seen this around the speed cameras in particular. While I do greatly appreciate those and the red light cameras, most drivers know that they are there and they only slow down to avoid the camera and speed back up again. If a driver does get a speeding ticket, behavior only changes for about 6 months before reverting back to speeding again. This is compounded in Portland, where it's well known we don't have a robust traffic enforcement arm in our police bureau. I'm glad to hear Mayor Wilson has PBOT cracking down on illegal RV parking and not letting folks drive off and park somewhere else illegally if they aren't legally driving to begin with, and getting them into real shelter and a pathway to housing instead. The RV and trailer, no parking except for unloading and unloading logs, is for safety reasons. I've heard anecdotal stories about children being hit by cars that couldn't see around RVs parked at an intersection. PBOT's own fatality statistics show that the largest 2 causes of traffic fatalities, over 70% of them, are speeding and or intoxicated drivers and homeless residents who are often also impaired or mentally ill, entering lanes of traffic at night and not at crosswalks. These are preventable deaths that have nothing to do with road infrastructure. Mayor Wilson is right when he says we need to get back to basics. Clean, smooth roads where laws are enforced are safe roads. We need to focus on basic road maintenance and traffic enforcement before we continue to fund nice-to-have infrastructure that has, to date, shown to be expensive and ineffective at ending traffic fatalities. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mark Sherman is joining us online.
Good evening, folks. I want to thank you for your Vision Zero effort. When I looked over the documentation, I found what I consider to be some bias in the assumptions from which you're going to proceed, which may reinforce what others have said before me. One of the biases I noticed is that the documents I saw assume that we're not going to try and reduce the number of cars on our roads at all. Another bias I saw was that cars and bikes can coexist. And as is the case with Division and Foster, where bike lanes were added to busy roads, even if a car's passing me at 25, I still have to navigate cars and buses. I don't see a lot of bikes on those roads because they're not really safe. I think the assumption of throwing more lanes on for bikes on busy streets is not an assumption that will get you closer to Vision Zero. I think that you can not assume that bikes and cars can coexist without barriers or some kind of physical division between us. That just won't work. Well, it hasn't worked, as you've heard tragically from people before me. There was no talk no mention I saw of road hazards. And if you put your 2 hands together and make a ball or a fist, that pothole can knock a bicycle rider off their bike if they don't see it. A lot of roads you have, especially on Main Street, are on the sides where leaves collect or not rideable for 2 or 3 months of the year when the rains start. I don't see road maintenance included in the Vision Zero comments that PBOT and the rest of the people did put together for it. If you consider the Springwater corridor as a great place for bikes and pedestrians, it is too narrow to support both bikes and pedestrians. As pedestrians are always upset that bicyclists are going too fast, it's just not wide enough to support the kind of traffic that's on there. Let's see, there was also a comment that you were hoping PBOT could lead. I haven't seen that. That's a big assumption. And as far as I can tell, PBOT has been the lead in putting up new infrastructures that don't work. So I would really ask you to reconsider that. And I also didn't notice that we're considering other forms of transportation. I didn't see any goals to increase the number of bikes on the road, increase the number of pedestrians on the road, and increase the number of bus riders on the road. Those assumptions, I believe, should be in there, but are not. And finally, I know you folks are out there with ice signs. I totally appreciate that and support that. Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's check Ernie Munch. Okay, our next panel.
Thank you very much for being here with us tonight. I think we're going to call up the next panel now. Thank you.
Next up, we have Jacob Apenis, Andrea Hamburg, and RJ Shepard.
Welcome, Jacob. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Hello, Portland City Council. For the record, my name is Jacob Apenis. I'm a District 2 resident and a member of Sunrise PDX, or a local youth-led climate justice organization here in our lovely city. I'm here to show my support personally for the Vision Zero amendment being brought to council today. No one should be injured or killed while on our streets. Whether you're driving a car, on a bike, or walking, all modes of transportations have risks for being on our streets. And our epidemic of road violence is claiming lives from all modes of transportation. We must be diligent in fighting this epidemic and constructing streets that are safe for all. On top of this Vision Zero resolution, I just had one thing I wanted to add. Our level of success for safe streets will fully depend on the financial investment we add for Vision Zero. Thoughts and prayers won't actually build sidewalks or bike lanes. As we re-up our commitment to Vision Zero, please do the hard work of finding the money that will save lives, whether that money comes from new fees, taxes on the wealthy, a redistribution of public safety funding, or some other kind of funding. You must all research and acknowledge the price tag needed to achieve Vision Zero and work to acquire the funding necessary. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Council. My name is RJ Shepard. I'm a resident of District 3, and I'm also a volunteer with Bike Bus PDX. I'm here today to ask for your support for reaffirming Vision Zero, establishing the Vision Zero Task Force, and promoting the Vision Zero lead to the Mayor and City Administrator's Office. I'm very excited about that. All across Portland, hundreds of students have been riding on bike buses these past few weeks. With now 30 schools participating across every district, we are seeing a surge in demand for getting students safely to school with pedal power. Just this morning, I arrived with over 70 students to Abernathy Elementary with the music pumping, students with smiles on their faces, ready to learn. And while we do our best to make it a rolling party, for many students, the bike bus is the only way they would bike to school. And that's just because our transportation system is still unfortunately not safe enough for many students to bike on their own. And that's why I volunteer as a corker on the bike bus. I put my body in front of cars to ensure that students safely get through intersections that, quite frankly, are pretty dangerous even for myself as a 30-something-year-old average height man on a good day. When I cork on the Lent bike bus, for instance, we're crossing 4 high crash corridors: Division, Powell, Holgate, and 82nd Avenue. Now try that with 6-year-olds, parents that are just getting their bikes out of the garage. It's a little harrowing. And frankly, few students would ride this route otherwise. So why are we here? Obviously, Vision Zero is this vision to eliminate fatal crashes. But I see Vision Zero as not just that. It's a vision for where we have people of all ages, all abilities, being able to ride and walk and scoot all around our city, where our youths are not limited to backyards and playgrounds where they can have independent mobility, where our students don't need adults to chaperone them literally everywhere they go. In my view, this vision is not only within reach, I firmly believe this vision is the path to Portland's recovery. And so with that, I just want to thank you for your support for Vision Zero and for this bigger vision for Portland. And I hope you will all swing by a bike bus very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here and for the work that you do.
Andrea Hamburg is joining us online.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Council President, Council. My name is Andrea Hamburg, she, her. I'm the Environmental Health Services Director for the Multnomah County Health Department. As you consider this reaffirmation of Vision Zero, I urge you to consider it as a public health issue. Unintentional injury, including injuries from traffic crashes, is the third leading cause of death in Multnomah County after cancer and heart disease. Multnomah County Health Department has documented inequities in the burden of these deaths, which disproportionately affect younger residents, Black residents, unhoused residents, and residents of East Portland. Troublingly, the trend in traffic crash deaths has gone the wrong way, greatly increasing in the past decade and remaining high. This combination of a leading cause of death with unjust inequities and a trend heading the wrong direction makes this a public health priority. Since Vision Zero was adopted, the Health Department has collaborated with PBOT on this shared priority. Our staff have done thorough analyses of public health data to understand risk factors like housing status, speed, and the use of intoxicants. We've shared data on impacted populations like people experiencing houselessness and Black residents. Our staff have worked side by side with PBOT to learn the nuances of a safe systems approach and worked with PBOT and our Multnomah County Public Health Advisory Board to develop public health-based recommendations. In this work, we have found our colleagues at PBOT to be ready collaborators, open to innovation, and compassionate civil servants who are genuinely committed to making Portland safer. We view the work of Vision Zero to date as effective. Where PBOT has intervened, there has been improvement. The Safe Systems Pyramid emphasizes changes to the built environment and socioeconomic context as the most impactful types of interventions, which is consistent with public health evidence and practice. But the numbers tell us that this work is not over, and the investments made have not been sufficient. As your local public health authority, the Multnomah County Health Department is committed to continuing to collaborate with PBOT and the City of Portland to understand the epidemiology of traffic crash injuries, the effectiveness of prevention, post-crash care, and other solutions that cross disciplines. We strongly support the reaffirmation of Vision Zero and look forward to continued partnership with PBOT to address this public health priority. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That completes testimony.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, that is the end of our public testimony. We are moving into council discussion and debate. Councilor Avalos, did you have a question or a comment?
Yes, all right, thank you. So thank you so much to Councilor Koyama Lane for your incredible work here. As we can hear from the folks that testify, this is urgent work and it impacts people every day. And so I just want to start by saying I strongly support reaffirming our commitment to Vision Zero and creating this cross-bureau task force. Eliminating traffic deaths and serious injuries is a responsibility that we all share, and we need to approach it with urgency. Particularly for District 1, the data is clear that East Portland residents continue to bear the heaviest burden of traffic violence, with 30 of 31 high crash corridors just in East Portland. And I agree with one of the testifiers who said that traffic safety is public safety. These communities are disproportionately represented in fatalities and serious injuries, and their voices must guide our solutions. So I think that the task force brings in advisory committees and subject matter experts. And I want to emphasize how critical it is that District 1 voices are at that table, because if we fail to center these perspectives, we risk reproducing the inequities that Vision Zero was created to address. So on that note, colleagues, I want to offer a friendly amendment that will strengthen the resolution by making explicit our commitment to community partnership. We've heard from community members that their voices must help shape the work, and this amendment hopefully ensures that meaningful engagement is built into the Vision Zero Task Force analysis and action plan. So the amendment would add the following clause: be it further resolved that the Vision Zero Task Force shall ensure meaningful community engagement in the development of its analysis and action plan. This addition underscores that the voices of Portlanders will guide both the analysis and the solutions that we hope to advance. So, is that accepted, Councillor Koyama-Lane, as a friendly amendment?
Absolutely. I am very excited to accept this. And as I mentioned earlier, as I'm learning a lot in this process, I'm learning a lot more about the different pillars of Vision Zero. We can post this, but I just shared with counselors this 9 components of strong Vision Zero commitment. And I'll say, I want to especially thank Sarah from Families for Safe Streets, who, after this pass through, transportation infrastructure, said, this is great. You have, you're going to bring a multidisciplinary leadership team, which is one of the 9 components for a strong Vision Zero commitment. And we need to know that there is also going to be a connection to stakeholders from the community, especially folks who have lost loved ones. So that is really the transparency, community engagement, cooperation, and collaboration piece. And so I'm really grateful you're bringing that forward. And if our Vision Zero lead is able to talk about what this could look like at some point, I don't know if you want to know more about that, but we can also hear from her. I think she's here.
Yeah, go ahead.
And kind of what is that difference? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Again, hello, Dana Dickman. What a powerful night of testimony. I'm still just kind of sitting with it. I think with this amendment, it's something we've already been thinking about. The task force is intended to be comprised of staff from all the different service areas to kind of move the new action plan forward, but we don't want to develop the next set of actions without community stakeholders. So I see that as a huge opportunity for community stakeholders to be brought into working groups on specific topics and also more broadly in development of the new action plan. I also think there's an opportunity for community to engage in the new call for more reporting and transparency on Vision Zero. What does that look like? How can we develop new tools to have transparency both internally within the city, but also things that are shared with the public? And also through that process of the action plan, really digging in deep on maybe some potential structure and definition of what accountability and transparency should mean for us moving forward in Vision Zero.
Thank you. Councillor Avalos, does the clerk have in writing the amendment that you read?
No. Does she? Yeah, okay. I can send that to you over chat. Is that the best way?
And then for folks at the dais who are just following this, where in the resolved clauses would that go?
Councillor Koyama-Lane, what would be best for you?
I don't know if I have, if I really thought that through. I have a preference, and I know there's going to be another friendly amendment coming also. Can I think about that for a second?
We're going to need to know before we vote on it where it goes.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Okay. Think about that. And Councillor Avalos, if you can get that to the clerk, and if it's possible for you to send that to all of the councillors as well so that we have it in front of us, that would be great. And then whenever we can get it posted.
Yeah, and because it is a substantive addition to the resolution, we will need a motion and a second, and we'll need to vote to amend the resolution.
Okay, and we have a motion from Councilor Avalos. Do we have a second for it?
Second.
Point of order.
Working on getting the language. I want to make sure we have a motion and a second so that we know it's on the table. And then if folks need time to review it before we consider and vote on it, Councilor Avalos, if you are comfortable with us moving on to hear from other councilors, we'll come back to voting on it so people have a chance to look at it.
Yes, I just have one more thing in my statement to mention.
Okay.
Lastly, I just wanted to flag for my colleagues that my office is looking into proposing a resolution on affirming our commitment to the Rose lanes as well. So that would contribute to our Vision Zero goal. So just want to flag that that's some legislation we're working on, and we'll bring that to a future committee. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Koyamalang, did you have?
I was just going to say, I can email it to everyone if that's helpful.
If you could email it, that would be great. And colleagues, so that we don't have to take a recess to give folks time to look at this, I want to hear from our next councilor in the queue, Councilor Zimmerman, and we will come back to a discussion on the amendment and a vote after we hear from Councilor Zimmerman.
Okay. I just want to say thanks. I appreciate this. It's been an important night. I think that there's a lot of important work that has happened to kind of make sure that this program has, there was 10 years ago, and then there's been refining since. So Councilor Koyamalang, thanks for your leadership on that. I think I've told Councilor Koyamalang this before. I think sometimes we have a lot of bike advocacy in the community, but I'm always in the pedestrian advocacy space as well, because in my district and where I used to live in the district, it's very much a walking area. And we heard some really important stories today, both from constituents in District 4, as well as other places. And I highlight that a lot. And so I think it's important. Some of the stuff that makes some of our most wonderful neighborhoods, right? The big tree canopies that are wonderful during the day are also the hardest places to see people in the fall when it's raining. And if you're a driver through the windshield, if you're a walker trying to understand, the different lights that are coming at you in the different lanes. So that's really important. One of the things that, I really appreciated about the report was also just the highlight in such a discrepancy in District 1. I was just out in District 1. I shared with some of you that I was, dealing with some vandalism, and I was out there getting things repaired, and so I was walking around, and just in that short afternoon, I avoided getting hit in a crosswalk. I watched multiple people avoid getting in a crosswalk, and in one afternoon, I think I saw 4 cars on one red light. 4 of them went through continuously, and then that kept happening the rest of the afternoon that I was there dealing with that repair. So it's real, and I know that not everybody feels it and recognizes it, but it really is real. And District 1 is just so overrepresented in this data, so it's really important. I've sent to all of you another proposed amendment, and I would hope for and I consider it a friendly amendment. Councilor Koyamalang and I have spoken. If you look at the pedestrian deaths, 50% of the pedestrian deaths are homeless folks. That, for me, is incredibly concerning, given our conversations even earlier, some of the stuff that was said today. So I'm proposing an amendment, and I hope it's considered friendly. Be it further resolved, and I would put this in I think it's the third, be it further resolved, that the Vision Zero Task Force shall specifically examine the overrepresentation of traffic fatalities involving people experiencing homelessness, conduct an analysis of the underlying causes, and recommend targeted strategies to reduce and prevent these deaths. If you do 15,000 out of 675,000, that's 2%, but it's 50% of the pedestrian deaths. And so I think overrepresentation is a very clear term that's appropriate here, and I think we should get very specific. So I hope for your support on that. I appreciate the conversation with Councilor Koyamalang, and that's my proposal.
Second.
Okay, and a second from Councilor Canal and Councilor Zimmerman. Would that go after the current third, be it resolved, in between be it resolved that the deputy city administrators and be it resolved that the Vision Zero Task Force will invite community advisory committees and community subject matter experts? Is that what you're
Yes,
looking
that's
at?
correct, between the two.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So colleagues, we have 2 open amendments on the table. I believe you have both in your inboxes, so I'd like to go back to the first one that was put on the table for debate. We'll move from that into the second one that was put on the table for debate, and then we will go back to the queue on the main motion. I'm going to write down the order of folks who are in the queue for the main motion so that you all can leave the queue while we debate. Other motions now on the table. So I have Councillor Smith, Councillor Canal, Councillor Novick, Councillor Clark as the order when we come back to the main motion. And then Councillor Ryan, did you just jump in for the main motion as well?
I was in there for the main motion, then I went out.
Okay.
Now I went back in because we have these 2 new amendments.
Okay.
I'm assuming other people are in the same place.
Perhaps. That's the order I have when we get back to the main motion. So we are going to go back to Councillor Avalos's proposed amendment. Be it further resolved that the Vision Zero Task Force shall ensure meaningful community engagement in the development of its analysis and action plan. And Councillors Avalos and Koyama Lane, do you have a sense of where you would want that located at this point?
Yes, right after the third, be it further resolved, right after that, the Vision Zero Task Force will invite community advisory bodies and community subject matter experts to engage in this work where appropriate. I think after that makes sense.
Perfect. Councillor Smith, are you in the queue to discuss this amendment?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm very much in support of having meaningful community engagement, but I need to find out what is the definition of meaningful. And the other issue is, do we not have engagement with Vision Zero right now? I thought we did do engagement. So I'm trying to figure out what are we doing that's different than what we're already doing.
Dana, would you like to come up and answer that question? Or if there's somebody better to answer that question, let us know.
We do already, and when I say we, I'm going to be speaking mostly for PBOT, because that's who's been leading most of the work. There is a lot of engagement that is already happening around Vision Zero, both around projects, also just with a focus on East Portland and particularly Black Portlanders. There is specific engagement that isn't around projects. It's really talking about the work that is happening to change streets, why we might do different things on our streets.
Right.
So that work is already happening. My understanding of this amendment, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the idea is that we are committing to bringing community members into the process of updating the action plan, that it isn't specifically called out anywhere else in the resolution. We have advisory committees, which are community bodies. We have those called out, but we didn't specifically have anywhere where.
Don't we say that?
What was that?
So why don't we say that instead of saying meaningful? You're giving me the imagination of what meaningful is, and my meaningful may not be your meaningful. But if what you're saying, what you just said, bringing the community back and updating them of the new initiatives as it relates to Vision Zero, then I can understand that. But just meaningful is just a blanket statement to me, and so I don't get what's different because if you all were not doing outreach right now, I would be really concerned. And so it suggests this amendment suggests that you all are not doing anything.
Yeah. I'm going to have to leave that to you to change.
No, that's my thought. Yeah. That's my thought. So.
Are you proposing an amendment to?
Well, I'm proposing I guess a friendly amendment to the friendly amendment that would say that you would go back out into the communities that we originally have been reaching out to let them know we have new updates.
Or to bring them into the update of the action plan.
Right, update of the action plan.
Director Williams, if you'd like to join us up here, you're welcome to.
Yeah, please.
Good evening, everyone. Millicent Williams, Director of the Portland Board of Transportation. Thank you so much for bringing forward this really important opportunity for the community to recommit itself to the work of Vision Zero. What I was sharing was that, to answer your question, Councilor Smith, yes, PBOT has been for the past 10 years engaging pretty significantally and intentionally.
You felt that it was meaningful.
And it was meaningful, and it does
continues to be.
and it continues to be, and it bears out, your identification of the need for us to more clearly articulate what meaningful means is something that we will make sure that we provide. As it relates to the work that will continue to happen at PBOT relative to Vision Zero, what I was sharing with Dana was that part of what I'm thinking about as this resolution, or as the amendments are moving forward, is that there are two things that are happening here. We are, as a city, committing to bureaus, largely PBOT, continuing in its work around Vision Zero. However, with Dana being moved into this different space, there needs to be the acknowledgement of that continuation of the outreach from the space that she's now residing, which is outside of PBOT and now housed within the Deputy City Administrator's office.
Yes.
So there's an additional layer of outreach that will differ, but it will be complementary to what's happening with PBOT's work, but it's more related to the Vision Zero task force,
right?
More specifically.
Yeah, I think, thank you for articulating that. I think it's
that was very good, because so that makes a difference, because it just, for me, it didn't sit well with me, because it gave the appearance that you all weren't doing anything. I know you were. So, and I want you to be able to, I want us to be able to clearly state what we want you to do in this resolution and in this amendment, because I think it's important.
Right. Thank you, Councilor.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you be willing to accept a friendly amendment to the friendly amendment?
Can you repeat what the wording of that would be for us?
Well, it sounded like to me that they said that there was different outreach that was being done in PBOT that is now going to be done in the DCA's office, that will include going back out to the community to update them on the task force plan.
So right now, what Councilor Avalos is proposing is, be it further resolved that the Vision Zero task force shall ensure meaningful community engagement in the development of its analysis and action. Are you proposing something like?
So, and it should include reaching back out to the community and updating them on the new plans of Vision Zero.
So a comma where the period is, and then adding that clause you just said.
Yes.
Okay. I believe, unless Councilor Avalos, we have two options. Councilor Avalos can change her amendment, or we can vote on the underline and then either adopt it and have an amendment to add this as well, or reject it and propose a new amendment. Councilor Avalos, let us know where you're at here.
I guess I also want to see it in writing. I didn't catch exactly what the addition is, so.
Councilor Smith, can you send that to Councilor Avalos?
I can also try to type it up if you'd like. Councilor Smith.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Let me see. Comma.
We're going to pause for a minute, colleagues, so that we can get this down and make sure we know what we're all debating and voting on.
Okay, so we would put a comma behind the action plan, and it would say development of its analysis of the action plan, and to include updating of all communities of the new action plan. Is that okay? Well, I just want to, so when you say meaningful and you leave it standing there, I mean, what does meaningful mean? I just want to know what that meaningful is. What's the difference between what we have right now and what we don't? This is the first time that I saw this, but it's a powerful statement, but it doesn't give us direction in terms of what that exactly means. With the Zimmerman one, it says specifically homelessness, and to it gives you a direction.
I don't, let's stick to the one we're debating right now. I think, do we have in writing that change to get to Counselor Avalos?
I can send it, Counselor Smith, just to clarify, it adds on in the development of its analysis and action plan, and to include updating of all communities of the new action plan.
Yes.
I believe there was something about the communities that had been previously engaged in the work. Something like that.
No,
I'm just. Would it make more sense to put something in the reporting and transparency parts of the resolution?
No, I'm trying to deal with this blanket statement.
Okay.
On the amendment. That's what I'm trying to deal with. And so if you put it somewhere else, it won't have any meaning to this statement right here. I just sent a basic. Hold on just a second. I just sent this to you, Candace, and to include updating of all communities of the new action plan.
Okay. Counselor Avalos, why don't you take a quick look at that? And Counselor Novick, let's hear your thoughts while we wait for Counselor Avalos to consider the language that Counselor Smith has put forward.
Yeah, first of all, I was pleased to hear Eric Escada, Bounce Carlita, talk about the success of the Foster Streetscape Plan, which was quite controversial 10 years ago, as he mentioned. I also wanted to be a broken record and agree with those folks who said that it's not all about infrastructure. Our infrastructure hasn't gotten worse in the past 10 years, but the fatalities have gone way up. And part of that, I think, as Councilor Zimmerman has indicated, is that we have a larger and very vulnerable homeless population. Part of that is that cars are bigger and more dangerous. But also, as some folks have said, I think that many drivers went insane during the pandemic, and they have not become less insane since then. So enforcement, I think, does matter. The speaker talked about cities that do better than us, including Hoboken, home of Frank Sinatra. Another city that does better than us is New York City, which has a third of the fatalities per capita that we do. There's a variety of reasons for that, but one thing to note is that New York has 3,000 speed and red light cameras. We have 30, even though we have a third as much lane miles as New York City. And I've been pleased to hear in the past couple of months that PBOT believes that hiring a new contractor who should be more efficient for the speed and red light cameras could mean that in the future, adding more cameras won't actually cost us any additional money. I also talked with the administrator of the Multnomah County Circuit Court, who said that although right now they have some constraints in terms of how many speed and red light camera citations they can handle, she gave me reason to think that actually they would be able to get more personnel from the legislature if necessary to handle that, especially because the state gets a chunk of the money from those cameras. So I will continue to pound away at calling for 1,000 speed and red light cameras while supporting the rest of the Vision Zero agenda.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Avalos, have you and Counselor Smith worked this out? Okay. We'll get there. Counselor Clark, are you speaking to the amendment on the table?
I will speak to one of them.
The Avalos amendment is the one that we're currently debating.
No, I'm not speaking to that.
Okay. Counselor Koyama-Lane, are you in the queue to speak to the Avalos amendment?
So we got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, Counselor Avalos, where are you at on this? Are you changing your amendment, or should we vote on your amendment and then come back to what Counselor Smith has proposed?
The final language is going to be adding a comma at the end of how it's currently written, and it will say, and to inform communities of the new action plan.
Be it further resolved that the Vision Zero Task Force shall ensure meaningful community engagement in the development of its analysis and action plan, and inform communities, what was the last part?
Inform communities of the new action plan.
And inform communities of the new action plan. Who was your second, Counselor Avalos? Who was your second? Who was the second on your amendment?
Second.
Counselor Koyama-Lane, are you okay with this change?
Yeah.
Okay. Colleagues, would you all like this in writing? Okay, we're good. Counselor Ryan, are you in the queue for Counselor Avalos's new amendment? Okay, seeing no one else in the queue for Counselor Avalos's new amendment as changed by Counselor Smith, Keelan, could you please call the roll?
Koyameline.
Aye.
Mario.
Aye.
Novick.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Zimmerman.
Aye.
Avalos.
Aye.
Dunphy.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Canal.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Bertolini.
Aye.
The amendment is approved with 12 aye votes.
Thank you, Keelan. Colleagues, we have Counselor Zimmerman's amendment open on the table. It has been seconded, I believe, by Counselor Canal. Counselor Smith, are you in the queue to discuss Counselor Zimmerman's amendment?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
I think this is important because I think our homeless community is probably one of our most vulnerable communities in the city. And I was just on Division at the Division Alliance last week doing a business tour last Friday. And they had me walking along Division Street from 117th all the way past 123rd. So I stopped at 119th and I said, you all, I'm getting ready to go get my car and I'll meet y'all down there. And so they said, well, it's only 7 minutes, but I'm really triggered right now because I know cars are going really fast down Division Street, and understanding how important it is. And it is a high crash corridor. And I had to insist to them that I'm going to go back and get my car. And so I went back and got my car. And so Director Williams, and I was going to call you and tell you about this. I was on the corner of Division and 119th. And so there is a walkway there, and there's a median in the middle of the street of Division. So I was waiting, and the light goes so quickly. So I had to quickly, it was not enough time for me to cross the street. So I had to do it in 2 phases. I had to cross the street and get to the median, and then the light changed again. And then I had to run to get across to the other side of the street so that I would not be hit. And if you're looking up Division Street as they're coming down, oh my God, it is a scary thought. And people were speeding, and I was like, I don't think there's enough time for people to walk across the street. And I'm sorry I was supposed to call you and tell you about this, but it was really scary. So I really do support what Counselor Zimmerman is talking about, because just imagine folks who are homeless, some of them have mental health issues and a crisis, and trying to get across the street. I just can't imagine how you can do that. And I had half of my wits with me, and I was frightened to cross the street.
Thank you, Councilor Smith. I will share that the city traffic engineer, Wendy Colley, is here. She can speak to signal timing and why things are currently staged the way that they are on certain corridors. As it relates to medians and signal timing, part of why on Division there is a median is because it is wide. And so it provides a respite for people if, in fact, the light does change before they would need to wait a cycle to cross to the other side of the street. But
you cannot get across that whole street on one light.
We recognize that is a challenge that we have in terms of understanding and balancing how we move people who may be walking or rolling, and how we continue to move folks who may be motorists or riding transit or going in the other direction. So it is a significant challenge, and when we speak to road diets and road reconfigurations, is actually a better way to state that. Part of why that is done is to reduce the amount of crossing distance that people would have so that they can make it across the full width of a street within a single signal timing period.
Okay.
Did I get that right, Wendy? Thank you. She's coming to actually say the right things.
Okay. I didn't mean to expand this whole conversation.
No, I'll be quick. I think you described it best, and I've taken a note to just check in with our signal folks to check that signal to make sure that it is operating the way intended. And this is Wendy Colley, City Traffic Engineer.
Excellent. And so I do support Council Zimmerman's amendment, and I will be voting for it.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Clark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is a very complex issue. There are lots of different pieces to it. And so I'm very pleased with Councilor Zimmerman's amendment that will actually add in the analysis of all the components, all the complexities of this issue. Having worked at TriMet, I can tell you that a significant number of the deaths involving transit are homeless people, are intoxicated people, and are people who were in the right-of-way, mistakenly in the right-of-way. And there's also the distracted people, and your amendment doesn't address that, but we can deal with that at a different time. But people who are walking in a distracted fashion on their cell phone or whatever. But I think this amendment is very valuable and will help us with our analysis.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Koyama-Lane to Councilor Zimmerman's amendment.
Yes. Thank you, colleagues. I intend to vote in favor of this amendment. I would have accepted it as a friendly amendment. Thank you to Councilor Zimmerman for bringing this forward and for being willing to do a little back and forth talking about this. I'll be candid, when I first saw the language, my hesitation came from a history. This is not connected to Councilor Zimmerman. But with the language, my hesitation came from the history of how at times data like this has been used in the past, particularly to justify actions like clearing camps, and that's not what this resolution is about. So I do believe it's fair and important to call out the overrepresentation of people experiencing homelessness in traffic fatalities. And it's also important to be clear, this is one part of the problem, not the whole problem. The commitment through this amendment is to understand why is this happening at such high rates, to identify strategies that actually improve safety and save lives. And so as written, I really think this amendment is helpful, and it directs the task force to bring forward information and solutions. It does not direct the council or the mayor to take action outside of that process, and I think that distinction is key. And I believe framing this is going to help us move forward responsibly, and I'm again grateful for both amendments that have been brought forward today.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Ryan?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilor Zimmerman. This adds a lot of value to this resolution. I appreciate it. I've been asking about this, get to the real why on this. And so if we don't include this component, we'll never get to the why. I think we could also add more dialogue to this in the appropriate conversations that PBOT will have. And that would include, where's the coroner information? Like when people are perishing on the streets, let's get more data on what happened. And I just think we've been lacking that critical data. So in all, it's our 10-year milestone, and no one's pleased with where the results are today. So unless we get to the critical why, we're not gonna be able to move forward with solutions. So this is very additive. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Canal?
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I seconded this. I support it, and I think you do ride-alongs. I've done two fire stations, and they talked about how half of the calls they're dealing with are related to homelessness. I did ride-alongs with police officers. Half the people that are arrested are houseless in the city. There's without getting into the blame, I think it's or the causes at this moment, and because this is about looking into those causes, I think every single thing we look at, there's an overrepresentation, and this is a major issue that we obviously all know about as a city to deal with, but it's important that we are addressing it as part of just about everything else. And so I think it's a really good precedent to set that in the context of looking at traffic violence and traffic deaths, we're also having that specific focus to understand the causes here. And I appreciate the context given by the Vice President on the specific text, and that was meaningful to me, and I'm looking forward to supporting this. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Murillo?
Thank you, Council President. I'm certainly in favor of us getting more data on all of these issues, and because I worked in City Hall before when this happened the first time, I guess I appreciate the context that you added, Council Vice President, but I remember when back in 2022, Mayor Wheeler issued an order preventing camping along high traffic areas under the guise of protecting people from getting run over or harmed by vehicles. But what we found out later that ended up happening was that those people had fewer places to be and often ended up in even more dangerous areas. So they ended up having to cross multiple highway lanes to sleep along the highway, that sort of thing. And so I am all for getting more data. And I want to just put it on the record that I would hate that that data be utilized against our houseless neighbors, because at the end of the day, if you are living literally on the streets, you are going to be on the streets more, which means that you are going to face traffic violence more. The only solution to people on our streets not facing higher rates of traffic violence is going to be getting them into long-term housing. And I just want to make sure that that's on the record. But overall, I'm in favor of getting more data, and I'll be happy to support the amendment. But I just wanted to make that clear for PBOT staff in the room that that is the critical eye with which I will be looking at that with. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Colleagues, seeing no one else in the queue to debate this amendment, Keelan, could you please call the roll? On the amendment, on the Zimmerman amendment.
Koyama Lane.
Aye.
Mario.
Aye.
Novick.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Zimmerman.
Aye.
Avalos.
Aye.
Dunphy.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Null.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Turtle Guinea.
Aye.
The amendment is approved with 12 yes votes.
Thank you, Keelan. Colleagues, I said we would go back to the order in the queue before we moved to amendments. Councillor Smith, you were next in the queue to debate the now amended resolution.
Thank you. On the first weekend of August, 2 Portlanders were struck in preventable car accidents, sadly ending in fatalities. And reports say that Willie Talamo lost his life while crossing the street on Southeast 122nd Avenue. Patsy Lee Miller lost her life on Northwest Yeon. And I want to give my sincere condolences again to the families and the loved ones. These major crashes occurred in District 1 and District 4, which continued to lack safe pedestrian infrastructure. Excessive speeds and distracted driving remain citywide. Cultural challenges that require community solutions. I know this to be true because I have been out there, and I've already explained to you what happened to me when I was touring businesses in the Division Alliance District. And so I can say these tragic events demonstrate that we must continue to be vigilant and stay the course by reaffirming our commitment to Vision Zero, a policy that has yielded a lot of traffic fatalities since the peak in 2023. But I think with additional work and additional eyes and a reaffirmation as we're trying to do with this resolution, it will give us an opportunity to decrease the number of fatalities on the streets. So I want to say I support this, and thank you for your leadership, Tiffany. This is great, and let's see what we can do.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Canal, I had you next on my list.
Thank you, Madam President. Today and every day, but specifically today, I'm grateful to Councillor Koyama Lane for her leadership in bringing Vision Zero back to life through this resolution, and I'm proud to be a co-sponsor. I agree with the comment that everyone deserves to get home safely, and I think that's a comment that applies to a principle that applies to so many issues, not just Vision Zero. As we saw earlier, there's a lot of folks who are passionate about ensuring everyone deserves to get home safely who are here today. And while we will have other items to talk about, I appreciate the opportunity to keep the focus on the 58 Portlanders who didn't make it home last year, including 19 in District 2. Just starting by speaking to data and reasoning for my support, and I appreciate that the supplemental documentation shows this. For far too long, our communities, particularly Black and Brown, Indigenous, and other already vulnerable communities, have carried the heaviest burden of traffic violence. In District 2, we have the top 3 and deadliest, top 5 most injurious streets for people, whether that pass at least in part through the district, whether as pedestrians, bicyclists, or vehicle drivers. We see that in Marine Drive, Interstate, Columbia, Killingsworth, Broadway, and also in my capacity, not just as a district councilor, but as co-chair of the Community and Public Safety Committee, I see the need here to connect these threads much more strongly. So Vision Zero requires cross-bureau collaborations, cross-service area collaborations. I'm really grateful to see all 4 DCAs here in support. I think that's particularly notable. We've seen Portland Fire having a 5-layer safe system approach for timely emergency response. We have police and high visibility enforcement. I'll note and be appreciative to Chief Dave for supporting as well. And then there's plenty of things in the planning process between water, transportation, BES to ensure that, and welcoming in emergency first responders to provide comments in how that develops to be ensure physical infrastructure is as safe as possible. Beyond the data, though, obviously these 58 folks' lives were cut short while crossing the street, going to work, waiting for the bus. And so I'll pivot here and say that the recommitment to Vision Zero is ultimately a commitment to prioritizing people's lives over convenience and speed and over budget priorities as well, because that should be our top priority, is protecting human life. I'll leave it there for now. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Novick?
I actually said what I had to say earlier, thinking that we were, well, the Avalo-Smith amendment was being refined, we were back to the main motion. So
Okay.
I have nothing further to say.
Councillor Clark. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that incredible, excellent testimony tonight. Very moving, actually very informative. Really enjoyed it. This has been a great night. I feel very proud of Councillor Koyama Lane. I'm very proud of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and actually all of my colleagues tonight who are operating together, pulling in the same direction on something very important. I also want to agree with my friend to the right here about the scofflaws. I think that during COVID, we did create a lot of scofflaws, a lot of speeding, and we created some awful thing. I'm also very partial to the cameras, and I do think we should have a lot more cameras. But we'll wait for the analysis and see what comes back to us after this resolution is implemented. But thanks to everyone.
Thank you, Councillor. Colleagues, before we move on, Councillor Ryan, I apologize. There are some folks chatting with people here in the room, but I want to make sure in case there's anybody online watching at this point in the evening, I think it is pretty certain that agenda item 5, which is pulled off of consent, will be carried over to tomorrow. I suspect we will be able to do agenda item 8 tonight. I am not yet sure if we'll be able to do agenda item 9, but if you are here for agenda item 5, we will be carrying that over to tomorrow's meeting. I don't want to keep you here tonight any later than we already have. Councillor Ryan, go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. And thank you, Councillor Koyama Lane, for bringing this forward. I also want to thank staff leadership. Dana, I appreciate our dialogue we had a couple weeks ago, and for building and stewarding that collaborative network that we formalized. And I also want to thank the passionate testimony here at Council After Dark. Hearing about the bike buses and the good work by Dream Big City was especially inspiring, and we really did need some hope in the room tonight, so thank you. You know, I will continue to support this. I'm behind Vision Zero, who isn't? But I want to join, and I want to join the majority in supporting this resolution. But at this milestone, we've got to evaluate and be bold to move forward to get better results. This is rather embarrassing where we stand as a city 10 years later on this. I want to be clear that I don't think in its current form it represents the complete effort for our roadways to be safe. Sadly, let's just say it, deaths are up 56 to 85% the last few years from when this started. That's the opposite direction we wanted to go. So what is the bold reset at this 10-year mark to move the needle forward? And I hope that that's what I hear from you going forward in further dialogue. Because if we keep doing the same thing we've done the last 10 years, we're just not going to get there. To date, the focus has been to reduce traffic deaths, and the actions have been largely focused on road and traffic design and attempts to reduce car reliance. I'm proposing that the program has missed critical components of roadway safety efforts, and it seems logical and should be included in the scope of the work. We need proactive and visible enforcement of traffic laws, and we need to address the unsafe activities occurring in our roadways, including street takeovers, racing, and camping in the right-of-way. let's just say it. That's part of this equation. Not to mention we lack critical data about pedestrians perishing on our streets. I'm glad that Councilor Zimmerman got to that point, and I thought that was a really additive amendment. I'm talking fast. I thought we'd have more time to do dialogue, but we had some friendly amendments. All Portlanders want to see Vision Zero to get these results. Let's include all who require our transportation infrastructure to be safe and efficient. There's no utility in shaming people who need to drive cars to get to jobs, parents who need to take their kids to school, elders who don't currently feel safe in our public transportation and need to get to medical appointments or grocery stores, or businesses that move goods and services across our city so many can stay home and work and live virtually. I also hope to see the inclusion and tolerance of transportation advocate world of all modes of transportation, including motorcycles, delivery vehicles, cars, and trucks in this dialogue. If we don't include them, then I think we're going to continue to see these dismal results 10 years later. The questions that I want to raise that I'll put in writing to you later will be, in the 23-25 annual report, it states that 55% of pedestrians killed, 30 out of 55 were unhoused when they died. What measures is the city and our partners in the county taking to address the overrepresentation of homelessness and traffic deaths? And what about the thousands who become disabled? We heard from one testimony tonight, we're only talking about deaths, but a lot of people are disabled by all these accidents, and that was not mentioned tonight. The annual report also shows that speed safety cameras, thank you, Councilor Novick, reduce speeding significantly. So let's be more like Hoboken, who also has daylighting quite throughout their system as well. The stated goal is zero traffic deaths and serious injuries. These are certain initiatives that Vision Zero in 21 and 22 regarding restrictions. We added restrictions on police traffic enforcement activities, specifically profiling, limiting traffic stops. It was not clear how these are related to Vision Zero's original mission, but can you explain how these help to meet the goal of zero traffic deaths? Actually, that is a question.
Are you asking specifically about the restrictions on enforcement?
In 21 and 22, we added restrictions on police traffic enforcement activities. It was not clear how these related to the Vision Zero's original mission, but can we explain how these met the goal of zero traffic deaths? Have they been helpful? And maybe someone from the police bureau needs to speak to that.
Data that we would be able to.
Right. And I'm not entirely sure what it's referring to in that time frame.
So what happened is midway through this, that was added. And you do notice when you look at the trends around that time, the deaths went up.
Are we talking about the restriction on, or the removing of the traffic division and bringing them back to the precincts?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that wasn't a Vision Zero decision.
I know it's not a vision, but you're collaborating with police. And so this gets to the heart of the matter, maybe why some of these numbers are going up.
Right.
So unless we're going to get to the why, how are we going to move forward with better results?
Right. And so the recommendation that I would offer is that we ask someone from the police bureau to address that, because that is not something that Dana nor.
And again, I thought we'd have more time for this type of dialogue. I'm not on the transportation committee. This is my first time as elected official to bring these issues to the dais, which I really think are relevant, because again, I want zero deaths every year. So this is my only time to do that, but we've been going on and on.
And we're not attempting to.
Would you like to have
I would like to
DCA
hear,
of Public Safety or one of our police officers in the room come up and respond to that?
But I'm feeling a lot of pressure right now because it's 8:42 and we finally got to this at Council After Dark, and we're getting to the heart of the matter on some of these issues.
Luckily, we don't have a hard stop at 9. We just don't start new items after 9 o'clock. So.
Right.
Director Causey, would you like to come up or have somebody from your team come up to respond to that?
Good evening, Interim DCA Causey for the Public Safety Service Area, and I'm here with
Assistant Chief Amanda McMillan.
And if I understand the question correctly, Counselor, I believe you're seeing if there's a correlation with
the impact of that decision on this. And we've seen the trend go the wrong way.
Yeah, I think you can probably answer that.
Yes, we did pull back, resources, as Dan was saying, back to the precincts in the wake of everything that was coming out of 2020 and 2021. And at that time, the numbers in traffic fatalities, as we know, rose. We've reconstituted our traffic unit, and we have those resources redeployed. We've seen a reduction now in traffic fatalities as we've reconstituted those resources. I don't have something that would say that's exactly how that worked, but maybe there's correlation there.
Since that went in, you see a correlation where they're going down this past year.
We hope we're having an impact there, yeah.
And so I hope that becomes more and more part of the dialogue and also the cameras that we talked about earlier. Let me see where I was. So my question is, how does PBOT move the needle to reduce traffic injury and fatalities if the basic services provided by partners are not available? Let's be honest, we lack services for our neediest population in this city. Providing most of these services is outside the city of Portland's purview and are the responsibility of the county, the school districts, the state, and nonprofits. We have been asking for our partners to ramp up the support for services for vulnerable populations since before Vision Zero was launched, and we still aren't close to what is needed. That's a big impact. If I'm currently reading this correctly, Vision Zero can only be successful if the basic needs are met for all of our community. But PBOT doesn't have the influence or responsibility over these social issues, and yet it seems to be a big impact. My question is, how can Vision Zero be successful if we lack the basic needs and services listed in the action plan?
Yeah, I think the goal of this work moving forward is to try to bring attention to the fact that there is this connection, that there is this broader public health framework, that this is a prevention strategy, and to lay credence to the calls for more resources from those partners. I still don't think the city, and certainly PBOT, can't solve all of the issues around lack of basic needs being met in our city.
The fact, sorry, Dana,
No,
go ahead. The fact that our partners from the county did call in to testify speaks to at least an acknowledgement that they are a part of the solution. And so we've attempted to, over the course of the past decade, work really closely with our partners by, again, creating the opportunity for there to be focused attention with the appropriate authorities to ensure that the conversations can happen, which is why it's important to have all of the DCAs here. It was important to elevate Vision Zero out of just one bureau and place it in a place where it could have more of an umbrella effect so that there could be the intentionality around the engagement versus us, PBOT, going to our partners at PPB, although tremendous partners, and saying, hey, we need you to do this thing, and they're like, but this is not necessarily the priority of the day, and I'm not trying to call PPB out, I'm sorry, you're sitting here. Any bureau that we might call on, without the authority to do that, we were just asking for friendly relationships to cause something to happen. With the new form of government, with this creation of the task force, it creates the opportunity for there to be executive direction, for there to be clearly articulated focus on where we are going as a city, not just as a bureau or not just one segment of the city. So I'm excited about this conversation, I'm excited about the collaboration, and I'm excited about Dana's elevation to the space that she's in, because she, as you've already had some conversation, is beginning to make sure that the work that she started 10 years ago is work that continues, but in a different way. And so we're really appreciative of what Councilor Koyama-Lane has sought to do by elevating this. If we aren't all talking about it at the leadership level, then we can be well-intentioned as we like, but we have acknowledged that we, PBOT, cannot alone do this. It really does require the collection of effort from so many partners, not just the obvious ones as well.
So that's what I'm trying to do is, at this 10-year reset, can we commit to actually collaborating and having accountability with all these partners? So we just don't hear in 10 more years that PBOT really needs more support. from the other partners.
That's what this is, Councilor Ryan. That's what this moment is. And that's what the work of the past several months in terms of setting up the structure to ensure the success of Dana's leadership in this space has been intended to do. That's why, again, it was lifted out intentionally. We identified that Dana, based on her previous work, was perhaps one of the best people to lead that work. And so that's why that identification of the staff was made. And we at PBOT made adjustments to our Vision Zero team to make sure that we could create the opportunity for Dana to then move into that space. We also, I would like to share, aside from just the folks who have Vision Zero in their names or in their titles or positions at the Bureau, dozens of people work on Vision Zero at the Bureau. So it's not just one or two people. There are dozens of people. We can't build and design projects without the backing of the full staff that supports this work. But again, pulling it out, making it a city priority, getting council backing, having the resolution helps to inform how this
I have heard this before. And so I'm hoping in this 10-year milestone that we actually put some teeth into this, and there's actual accountability with all the partners, because PBOT can't do it alone, and there's real shared accountability and responsibility, and that we get data inputs that show which way we're going, and if the trends are going down, let's ask the hard questions, get to the bottom of it with the why, so we can actually stop seeing these deaths and stop seeing so many people getting injured on our streets.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, and thank you to everybody who added pieces to that answer. Counselor Dunphy.
Thanks. I wrote some things down. I'm going to say it as quickly as possible because I'm sorry it's getting late. In 2009, I was in a pretty bad vehicle crash. I used to drive a Vespa, and driving down Killingsworth, somebody pulled a California stop, and I T-boned their minivan, and I survived because I had a good helmet on. But I think we also need to acknowledge that, you know, in addition to walking and biking and busing, I think that there is a significant portion of our community that rides on two wheels with a motor between their legs, and they have higher levels of fatalities as well. Vision Zero means that motorcyclists get home safe at night too. East Portland is home to an unbelievable amount of traffic deaths, and I'm thankful to my colleagues who've called that out already tonight, Councilor Zimmerman. My daughter goes to school 4 blocks away from the new Prologis freight warehouse that is going to be seeing upwards of 200 semi-trucks driving down 122nd past her middle school every day. Vision Zero should mean that the city of Portland takes a stronger role when we are helping, when someone comes to say they want to build a freight warehouse near a middle school and a high school. I-84 has no exits or on-ramps for the entirety of District 1. And there are not sufficient number of jobs in East Portland to supply a living for the people who live in East Portland. That means that people are stuck on the arterials, and the arterials turn into freeways. Vision Zero means that these folks need good jobs where they live, and they don't have to be stuck in their car driving downtown, trying to beat traffic and driving poorly or driving home. Much of East Portland, much of our residential neighborhoods don't have street paint at a stop sign. And in the winter months, when people are wearing their black Columbia jackets and avoiding the rain, we don't know where the stop line is, and we lead to pedestrian conflicts in those areas. I think that Vision Zero should mean better street paint so that we know that even outside of the major thoroughfares, people are not getting into conflict. Councilor Koyama Lane, I want to thank you so much for your dogged perseverance and your clear-eyed vision and your leadership on this. From day one, since the moment we first connected, this has been what you have been talking about, and thank you for getting our city back on track. Yeah, the last 10 years have been a lot of good effort. This is the time for real leadership to be demonstrated, and thank you for making sure that we actually can put our money where our mouth is. That's all.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Green.
I'll try to be brief here. Thank you for your leadership, Councilor Koyama Lane, and thank you to all the DCAs here today. This resolution is important because it speaks to the systemic causes of why we have traffic fatalities, and it's going to require an integrated, enterprise approach to changing the built environment to solve the problem, because there will be no amount of signage, there'll be no amount of even hard diverters that can solve this problem if we are not changing our comprehensive plan to support the sort of development patterns that are going to make possible a change in that mode switch. Like you cannot paste on little solutions here and there to get there. And so I think that this resolution is saying we have a mandate as a city to build Vision Zero into every single layer of how we do our business. And I think if we do it right, we have a huge opportunity to not only get to actual zero, but to bend our cost curve on the sort of liabilities that we face as a city, both in terms of like human cost, but also our surplus like we have so much lane mileage, right? We can change all that if we have this integrated approach. So I'm really excited. I'm going to vote yes. I'm going to stop talking so we can vote yes.
Thank you, Counselor. I had a couple of questions, but frankly, they're things I think I can ask outside of this hearing. They don't affect my support for the resolution. So I'm going to hold them and just say a few words, starting with thanking everybody who has worked on this. I know that there are a number of counselors who have put time into this. The committee as a whole put time into this, but especially Vice President Koyama Lane. This is something that I know has been on your priority list from the start. And I appreciate all the work that you have done, bringing people together to really figure out what the next step is and where we go from here. Thank you. I also want to thank all of the DCAs in the room, because we've had you here to do exactly what just happened when Councillor Ryan was talking, where we needed that support from another service area, where we needed to see how this all fits together. And I appreciate that you all took the time to make sure that we could have those conversations this evening as well. We're 10 years in, and it is time to recommit to this, especially in light of the data that we've been talking about. And that's why we can't just recommit. It's why we need to recommit knowing that we are willing to have conversations about hard trade-offs. As we've heard, this is the easy step. And I will say, like many, I drive. I also walk and bus, and occasionally my kids get me on my bike. But the reality is that most of the time I drive. And the hard steps that we will need to take after this resolution are going to push me. They're going to push all of us. They're going to push people who bike to think about what type of infrastructure we really want. They're going to push people who walk to think about whether we are making every corridor optimized for bikes and pedestrians, or some corridors more optimized than others. They are going to push every type of user to think strategically about what we want our city to look like in the future. Those are the conversations that I'm here to have. I talk a lot about what our city looks like in the future because I think a lot about what neighborhoods my 5-year-old and my 10-year-old are inheriting from us. I want them to have a place where all forms of transportation are safe, where there are places where each form of transportation is optimized, and where we are working together as a city to make sure that this is a great place to live, in part because we can all get around this city effectively. So let's use the data. Let's be comprehensive as we're seeing today. Let's debate the hard trade-offs, the ones where there is no only right answer and only wrong answer, but where we are really talking about finding solutions that help move us in the right direction. Thank you to everybody who's brought us this far. Today's the easy part, and I'm looking forward to the future conversations where we really get to dig into the details about what the future of our city looks like. Councillor Canal, I think you spoke once already, right? Okay. Councillor Murillo.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, Councillor. I wasn't watching and did not see that had just happened. That was my bad timing.
Very caringly shared a dumpling with me.
Had I not just been speaking, I would have been.
And this is why you're not supposed to eat on the dais, but we get hungry up here. Okay, I'm almost done. Anyways, I was actually not going to give a speech because I think everything that needs to be said has already been said, but I do have to talk about some of the things my colleagues have said as we are reinstating Vision Zero, because I think that we have we're at a critical crossroads with how we're going to engage Vision Zero. And I have some history from having worked at City Hall before when some of these decisions were being made that I think need to be put into context, particularly some of the comments made by you, Councilor Ryan. Part of the reason that the traffic division was partially removed was because we found that they were disproportionately stopping Black Portlanders in our city and nobody else when we have a 6% Black population. So we need to put that into context as to why some of those decisions were made. I also want to point out that later that traffic division ended up receiving more funding than they had prior, and that any officer, whether or not that traffic division exists, is able to pull someone over if they are doing something wrong. You don't have to be part of a special traffic unit in order to make that happen. So this idea that our officers were not able to pull people over who are committing offenses is not true. And it actually ended up being a political issue that Bike Portland ended up interviewing an officer, I believe it was Sergeant Angstrom at the time, who said, and I quote, "We needed to create a stir to get some change to get the city council to fund us back up. And I mean, that's the honest truth. I know that could make things more dangerous, but at the same time, we needed some change." So they were publicly talking about the fact that they had less traffic officers and that they weren't going to enforce traffic violations in order to politically motivate the council to get more funding. And that is a dark history that's part of this situation and part of Vision Zero that we need to address. And I can't let those comments go without context, because we're also talking about expanding traffic cameras as addressing public safety. And one of the policies that I'm bringing forward right now is to address the way that ICE and other agencies are using surveillance and tracking data to target our immigrant communities, to target activists, and to surveil us in a way that is extremely dangerous for vulnerable communities. So we absolutely need to do right by pedestrians. As someone who is a pedestrian who does not own a car, who can't drive, who bikes and buses everywhere, this is near and dear to me. This is very important to me. And because I am also an immigrant, I cannot look at this with one lens only. It means that I have to look at this through multiple lenses. And so I hope that we are going to do right by our unhoused neighbors who face traffic violence. I hope we are going to do right by immigrant communities that are being surveilled heavily right now, and that every policy that we move forward with Vision Zero has our most vulnerable community members in mind as well. And I will happily and joyfully and forcefully be supporting this, because it matters a lot, and we deserve to have a city where there are zero traffic deaths. Thank you.
Counselor Canal.
Thanks, Madam President. I want to start by noting something. I didn't speak on the First Amendment, but I do strongly support it, even though we're doing lots of engagement already. And one of the reasons is because of the list of 17 intersections that I know PBOT's received, that I have too, from a constituent named Keith, which have not had improvements. They're all along, for the crosswalks, these are all along Martin Luther King. And they're often used by our Black residents, and they've watched while these improvements have not been made, even as some of the bike crossings have been improved. And so I appreciate the commitment to engagement, and I want to see that not only engagement to the Black community happens, but that we actually, listen and do the thing. I was really struck, as Councilor Clark was, by the testimony. I knocked Michelle's door last year, and the conversation we had changed my approach to a lot of things. I noticed after that the feeling that I heard around the district was that Vision Zero has been a nice commitment that people support, but the feeling was broadly that nobody in power was willing to say at the time that it was a numerical goal. And I think it's important for as many of us, and some have already done so, to say zero is a numerical goal, a literal target for me. I spoke to Zach and Skylar at 2 events in the last week as well. I appreciated the reference to political violence and the relevance to this topic. Political violence is sometimes, but not always, reacted to appropriately when it's a person outside of a system conducting it. It's almost never reacted to appropriately when it's people in suits that do it at daises like this one. But it should be assessed as such. We bear responsibility when we, through our actions or our inactions, let people die. And I also want to mention that this is not the first step we're taking. We actually did 2 things during the budget note process that were really relevant to this. One was Councilor Koyama's lanes, which elevated this program to DCA Dunapal's office and required quarterly updates to ensure we're on track. I'm incredibly supportive from a process perspective of Councilor Ryan's rights and all of ours to have our questions answered here, and also actually of the assertion that we've historically not succeeded for a variety of reasons. And the inference I drew is that we need to do much more than just this resolution, which I think we all agree to. I am troubled by the implication that reacting to civil rights violations means we increase traffic deaths. I'm willing to drive 5 miles an hour slower, or 10, to save some lives, but I don't think we have to decide between civil rights and human lives. I would recall first, the correlation is not causation, and second, that there were a few things happening in 2020. I think most notably the pandemic and the impacts that Councilors Novick and Clark noted on traffic behaviors. There was a really interesting back and forth in the testimony from two testifiers about the role of education, enforcement, and physical infrastructure. Rob talked about those three things, but street design. I recognize the need for education. I recognize the need for enforcement, and I'm so excited to see the detailed reports after hearing some early positive news as a result of the other budget note, Canal 10, which gave guidance to PPB on how to use overtime dollars, including prioritizing some notable traffic-related categories such as street racing and traffic priority projects. Ultimately, however, I agree with Rob's point that street design is the primary method that will achieve this, and I intend to pursue implementing this over time with ordinances, but primarily budget allocations through modal filtering, through support for transit, especially rail, and for converting select streets to car-free completely and permanently. Now, with this resolution, we're committing to safer street design and deeper collaboration across bureaus and communities because no one should die just trying to get home. And so I will be supporting it, but I did want to add that for me personally, I'll be remembering 4 people today, all 31 years old or younger, 3 who I knew personally who were killed in traffic, and 1 who I did not know, but whose last moments I was a witness to. And every life is precious. We need to work to make the last traffic death we had truly the last traffic death in Portland. Thank you.
Councilor Koyama Lane.
Okay, I promise I'll be as quick as possible. First, I'll admit I was a little nervous at the beginning, and I thanked everyone, and I got nervous and skipped over Councilor Avalos. So I wanted to thank you for making scootering cool by acknowledging that you're scootering all around D1. Thank you for that, and I'm sorry. Thank you so much. It has been amazing working with you all, and this is just the beginning. I have so much trust in you all. The 4 DCAs, Morrissey, Donapal, Kazi, Oliveira, have been incredible. Thank you to Chief Day for the letter of support. Thank you to Director Williams. I feel really hopeful. And very quickly, I wanted to say something to the children that are still here and the kids who had to leave. I know for many of you, it was your very first time in City Hall. I think some of you are still watching right now or will watch this later. And I just want to explain clearly that us having to take a break was not about you at all. That was about adult stuff. And it's our job as adults to keep working through that big, important stuff, and we're gonna do that. And to all those kids that had to leave, I promise I will find time to hear you and listen to your voices because they're really powerful, and I know that everyone up here cares about them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Colleagues, seeing no one else in the queue for debate. Councilor Murillo, you're not back in, are you? Okay. Keelan, could you please call the roll on the now amended resolution?
Koyama Lane.
Aye.
Murillo.
Aye.
Thank you, Councilor Koyama Lane. Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Zimmerman.
Aye.
Avalos.
Aye.
Dunphy.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Aye.
The resolution as amended is adopted with 12 yes votes.
Colleagues, thank you everyone for being here this evening. When we passed our weekly council meeting rules, I said that where those did not conflict with other rules on the book, I would start implementing that immediately. Those rules state that we do not start new items other than emergency items or 9/12 items after 9 o'clock at night. So I will be carrying over I will be carrying over the rest of our agenda items 5, 8, and 9 to tomorrow. Those items are placed on tomorrow's agenda after the time certain items that were already scheduled. So we will start the agenda that was scheduled, move to item 8, then item 9, and then item 5, which is the order we would have taken them up in tonight. With that, I will recess tonight's meeting and we will reconvene tomorrow.
Congratulations.